Hello, my friends. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining me a little bit earlier. We'll be going earlier on a regular basis. Hopefully, it works out for everybody. So, how is everyone doing? What is happening out there? Things are definitely crazy. I was just watching a live, well, it wasn't a live stream. I was watching a video of Richie from Boston, and he was showing this light in the sky, and it's exactly what I've seen over a friend's house, where it looks like it's just a star, but when you start getting closer to it, you can see the thing is moving, and not only that, but it's kind of blinking on and off. Was just out stargazing before this and saw something else that was curious. There's just so much going on in the heavens above us right now. It's really pretty wild. Very wild. We're just seeing so many bizarre things from, well, how many of you guys caught today's with WSO with Steve? Because, Steve's been watching things in the sky for years now and reporting to you guys on it, and it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you guys, we are live. We're taking calls. So it's 614-400-5835. And, let us know what you want to talk about. There's definitely a ton of stuff going on. I've been very careful to, be careful with what I'm saying as far as everything that's going on, because you don't want to add fuel to the fire when it comes to the divisiveness that's going on in the world, and it's so crazy out there with all the divisiveness going on, and people can feel it. They can feel what's in the air. And there's a lot of signs, and if you guys get a chance, I rearranged some things on the channel, so there's more. If you go to the home page, you'll see the usual look of it with all the new stuff up top here. The popular uploads, those are the ones that got the most hits. Uploads is all the new stuff, and then you have the playlists. So now you have energy healing and QiGong videos right underneath that, live shows underneath that, seeking truths and cover-ups. And just to point out, this is the video that I saw was on Reddit and got several thousands of views on Reddit, and yet it shows 86 views in the course of a year. So that's an important video, and hopefully you guys will take a peek at that right here. And there's some good videos in this as well that are older that you guys might not have caught, because a lot of these went up when the channel was just about a month old, in the first month or so, and they're relevant. They're very relevant. And then we have evolutionary living, consciousness and reality, spiritual traditions, and health and diet and nutrition. So things are broken out more so you could see things a little bit easier. And there's a lot of great videos down here that are old, a year old, but they're timeless. So like the Georgia Guidestones one, and like the one on the Federal Reserve, or on the one about the massive network of ancient underground cities. So relative. So I hope you guys will check out some of those as well. So it's good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. And let me know what you guys want to talk about. But I'm going to start with some of the stuff that's going on. that I haven't covered. So we have Russia planning missile firing exercise off of Norway during NATO drills. There's been a lot going on in the regards to the possibility of World War III, all that, lots of talk, lots of fear, but also a lot of just, a lot of scary things going on in regards to it. And we could definitely see, and we've talked about it, if you saw the Albert Pike video, about the 3 world wars that were planned at least as far back as 1871. Pretty crazy stuff. Do you know the U.S. intelligence budget is soaring? Absolutely soaring. As we look at that right there, U.S. Cyber Command, NSA, and Central Security Service. So U.S. spending on intelligence has soared under President Trump. Figures released on Tuesday showed as the government stepped up cyber warfare activities and boosted spying in North Korea, China, and Russia, spending on civilian and military intelligence jumped by 11.6% to $81.5 billion in fiscal 2018, which ended September 30th, according to the Department of Defense and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Spending for the National Intelligence Program, which spans some 16 agencies, including the CIA, NSA, some defense operations and reconnaissance from space, rose $59.4 billion from $59.6 billion in fiscal 2017. So you could see all the budgets are going way, way, way up on the military and intelligence. It just goes up, 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 ever higher as we go. And meanwhile, there's economic signs of a huge slowdown. Southern California suffers its worst housing slump in over a decade. Number of new and existing houses and condos sold during the month plummeted nearly 18% compared with the previous year. And so that was the slowest September pace since 2007. And you know what happened in 2008, right, guys? The median price of Southern California homes sold in September was $505,000, still 3.6% higher than it was a year ago. But that was the lowest annual gain for any month in more than 3 years. So we could kind of see what's coming here if we're looking. So Michelle says, I have heard that Chinese and Russian troops have been in Colorado on an army base for a year. Huh. I haven't heard that one. But nothing would surprise me. Nothing would at all. And I've had some subscribers that I haven't talked to before reaching out to me and saying that they think that the whole caravan thing is just a front for an invasion, where these are guys that are going in ahead and they're going to cause disruption and set things off before the invasion. And if I bring your guys' attention back to this one right here, this was from 9 months ago. Visions of the Future, Alien Invasion, U.S. invaded by China and Russia. And I would give you guys an encouragement to check this one out because I feel like it's important. I feel like it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And so, we want to always envision the best outcome and always envision a positive future, but at the same time, we don't want to be caught by surprise. Mick says, all young guys, no women or children. Yeah, when you look at it, it does look like it's pretty much 80 to 90% at least young men of military age, really. It does look like that. I've seen only a handful of women and children in any of those photos. Now, maybe we have to question that. I mean, do you think that could be done on purpose as well, trying to focus in on the men of military age? As far as the ones that are taking the pictures. David Lewis says they're already in place. The invasion is a hoax. If they're already here, they will say some managed to get through. It's all a false flag. And as I shared with you guys before, we've gotten reports from locals in Florida of basically buildings with all Russian written. Everything's written in the Russian language. And, there was reports last year and even before that of, basically people up in Alaska and even local law officials in Alaska talking about Russian troops being up and around up there as well. So this has been going on for a while, and then we've also had all the reports of UN troops, as well. John Hawkins says Venezuela told Mike Pence that there are Middle Easterners in the caravan. Would not doubt that at all. It feels like this is something that's been in the planning for a long time. Yep. Mick says the Albert Pike info the other day kind of explains it all. It really kind of does, So this is the Illuminati's plan. It's been their plan since the beginning, and that was written in 1871, and that talked about needing to have Israel become a state again. Yeah, we have Venezuela on the verge of invasion. Paul says from Colombia, and I've heard that the new Brazilian president wants to invade them. That's what I was watching yesterday. Michelle says it's time to learn how to say stop and don't shoot in Russian and Chinese. And I want to go back to that movie, How It Ends. That Netflix movie, How It Ends, because they give us clues all the time in movies. All the time. They kind of let us know what they're doing before they do it. And so the movie How It Ends, it was really, I thought, pretty good. I mean, maybe the acting was a little bit cheesy at times. As we could see. Some people, I guess, didn't appreciate it. I didn't think it was bad. Actually, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. And, the whole premise on this is really something major happens out west. It's really out west. It's taking place, basically, it's a couple from Seattle that are in Chicago visiting her parents, because he's basically, he was proposing, I believe, but I know they were letting the parents know about a baby that was on the way. And then she's going back. He misses the flight. Something happens with that. And, she was in Seattle the whole time while he was out in Chicago visiting the family. That's right. And anyway, something big happens. And you can't tell if it's an earthquake, tsunami, or if it's something military going on. But I think what they allude to when they end up showing you more and more, and not to be a spoiler, is that it was that tsunami, earthquake, bomb thing we've talked about before in the past. That tsunami bomb that sets off, and this has been brought up multiple times in the last 6 months or so by different people. And so that's what this scenario is all about. And you wouldn't really know if, Mark, the tsunami earthquake bomb. So they explode, like the U.S. actually did tests way back before the end of World War II. And if they were not able to do a nuclear bomb, they were going to try to do conventional explosives to cause a tsunami on Japan and try to get them to quit that way. But then it comes out that there are nuclear versions of that are actually something that could be put into play now, in these days. And then always forget her name. What's the name of that lady that was Deborah? Deborah. No, no, no. Gosh, there's this lady, Deborah. She's a real whistleblower. She talks about. She talks about, all sorts of things, and but anyway, I'm trying to remember her name. It'll come to me. Tavares, yes, you got it. Deborah Tavares. Thank you. Just went. Deborah Tavares, Aluminum Rain. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know why her name always escapes me, but she is brave for sure. And anyway, she was talking about that and about the plan to basically detonate one of those off of the coast of like northern Florida, which would end up being devastating along pretty much the whole east coast of the U.S. and create havoc. So that's thrown out there, and that's kind of like what this movie was showing. And so if something like that happened, we might not know exactly what is going on. Was this just a major earthquake? If it happened in the Atlantic, we'd be wondering, what was up? Was it, the Canary Islands? And if it happened over in the Pacific, then we might be thinking maybe it was the Helena Slump. Yeah, she called out NASA in 2012. She's good. She is definitely good. I've watched a lot of her videos, and she's somebody I would definitely worry about her health because she's right out there. Stop the crime, that's hers. Yeah. And so, it gets into all sorts of stuff. So definitely, guys, I would check out her stuff big time. She's talked all about the smart meters, basically toasting people's brains, causing cancer, all sorts of health issues as well. She's talked all about the lasers coming down and starting wildfires. There is so much that she has brought up, and she is fearless. And the dues and everything, that all that is her. And it's thought that she was also the one that started that YouTube channel that ended up, the lady just disappeared for like a month and the channel was just gone. But they were showing all the webcams up in Alaska all the time and pointing out Planet X and Nibiru. Thank you, Fifth World. Much love, my sister. So, they've been talking about that as well. There's a lot of things going on, and we're definitely going to a new level here. We are definitely going to a new level. I don't think there's any doubt. Does anybody doubt out there that there's really nothing going on in the skies? Does anybody here think that chemtrails aren't real? We've moved the time to be a little bit more East Coast friendly to 9 p.m. And thank you guys for joining. Yes, Ms. Tavares definitely tells it like it is. I would love to have her on the show. I'd love to interview her. Gotta try to get in contact with her in some way. Lots of interesting stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have seen stuff that's real up there. That's just crazy. I have a whole bunch more photos and a couple more videos to share with you guys. I'll do that up tomorrow, and have another one because it just keeps pouring in. James Gillian Michael. I'm not really familiar with him, but always be open to talking with anybody that has a good, open mind and anything concerning any of the things that we cover. And I see our own Shannon Ann is in the chat room as well, and want to thank her for her contributions and for the videos that she did. And I know many of you guys got to check out her channel now, so that's great. And let's show her love as well. And the Fifth World, also thank you for your contributions. And you're getting great stuff every day up there in the sky. And I'm seeing more and more things like those. I don't know. They almost hit me like flying robots or something up there. I don't know. I don't know what it is, that we're seeing up there, honestly. James Gilliland. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen him. And that's being shared by Awaken Heyoka Seeds. So what type of topics does he talk about? Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us?
Steven Hernandez.
Hi. How you doing today, Steven?
How are we doing?
Doing good. What would you like to talk about?
This whole idea of nuclear weapons and stuff, it's a load of crap. They've just gotten you guys to believe that it's all a load of crap, that nuclear weapons don't exist. We dropped 2 nuclear bombs, supposedly, on Japan in World War II. And the idea of that is insane, because if we drop 2 nuclear bombs in Japan on World War II, that whole area, if you just use a little bit of thinking, would still be radioactive, like to the point where it would not be livable. There would be no, the whole area would be atomic, just like how it is in Chernobyl. I mean, you go to Chernobyl still, and there's still parts of Chernobyl that are still very, very radioactive. If you guys kind of put 2 and 2 together.
So you don't think that they ever really happened? You think it was just massive conventional bombs, or some sort of conspiracy?
Yeah, I think it's a huge conspiracy.
Well, it would be a nice thought. I mean, if they don't really exist, that would take a lot of the stress and the strain off the minds of many people.
Yeah, I definitely believe it was bullshit.
Is there anything that you base it on besides that? I mean, what a lot of the things that we've been taught, really, they're not really right. We're learning that as we go, quite often, and maybe even like half-life and how long things would last along those lines, as well, could be way off. So yeah, we definitely have to question everything we're taught. That's for sure. Are you still there, caller?
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just getting an echo. I need to turn down your actual live chat.
Okay.
I mean, like, I can't believe that no one's ever thought of this. It's insane to me that people have never, like, put their own thought into thinking that, hey, at one point we dropped nuclear bombs here, supposedly, and no one's ever thought that this whole area could be radioactive still. I mean, but it's not. And the media is trying to say that, they're trying to push the whole, I guess you could say, radioactive. Sorry, my wife. I guess you could try to say they're trying to push the whole radioactive thing a little too much, and it's kind of to the point where it's, like, too much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's interesting too. If you caught like today's interview with Steve from WSO, like he definitely believes, and I agree with him, that there are these beings that literally they feed off the fear they create, and if that's the case, then that would definitely create a lot of fear, a big return, on their investment, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. There's something else that's otherworldly that's going on that they're not talking about. I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not talked about, like how the ships crashed in Roswell and how those ships were examined and pretty much the Nazis that we took from. See, that's another thing that people need to think about is after World War II, if we supposedly had nuclear energy and all this other stuff, that we dropped nuclear bombs, why did we take Nazis over here to supposedly work with our Department of Defense to make, quote unquote, more nuclear bombs? We already had the technology to make nuclear weapons.
There's a lot of inconsistencies in the in what they have basically given us to be the truth, quote unquote, for sure. And we are turning them up more and more every day, and I think more people are even questioning, say, the moon landing now than probably did 20 and 30 years ago.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you have someone coming out called, like even Buzz Aldrin just recently came out and said that we never went to the moon to like a little girl. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that clip, but if you go online, you can actually see the clip of Buzz Aldrin admitting to everybody that we never even went on the moon. It was all false. It was all fake propaganda.
Yeah, that I did see that clip, and it was pretty amazing. And you got to wonder, okay, well, either he's coming clean with the truth, before he's it's like a confession before he passes on, or is he going senile? Does he have a little Alzheimer's kicking in? What's the case? But that was definitely kind of a very surprising thing to watch. But when you look at the old clips and stuff, they do look pretty fake in a lot of ways. They really do look fake when you look at them now. Makes you wonder, but not that the technology wouldn't be there, but perhaps that we're not, just simply not allowed to go there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but I don't know, the whole idea of nuclear technology. I mean, if we did drop 2 nuclear bombs there, mind you, we didn't just drop 1, we dropped 2. So if we drop 2 nuclear bombs, that'd be 3 times the amount of nuclear energy that went off in Chernobyl. You guys got to think about that. That would be 3 times the amount of energy that went off in Chernobyl, meaning that place would still be, till this day, uninhabitable. And yet you have a flourishing city there with millions and millions of people.
Yeah, it's all very interesting to look at, and it's like I've been saying, I view this as the times of the apocalypse, or basically the great unveiling, because we're learning, that many things have been false. As many people are calling out, they're saying those weren't nuclear bombs; those were atomic bombs, not nuclear. Coming from quite a few people in the chat room there. But it is all interesting, very interesting, and just like what we're seeing up in the sky is really, really interesting, getting us to question everything.
This is a lot of things with this whole thing with the Bible and stuff like that. And people reading the Bible and how they read the Bible is they've read it wrong. A lot of people say that these historians that are quote unquote feeding John X Army this information and stuff like this, they're wrong. If you go back and read the Bible and it talks about Babylon being destroyed, Babylon's already been destroyed. If you guys take a look and read history, Babylon was destroyed just like how they killed all of the quote-unquote, the actual Jews that are still alive nowadays aren't the real Jewish people that people talk about. And that's why you have all these things going on with like anti-Semitism and stuff like that. It's because these people aren't really who they say they are. They say they want peace and this and that, but yet they're bombing the Gaza Strip with white phosphorus. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, you guys got to think. You guys got to use your brains and think rationally here. If these people want peace, then why are they bombing people with white phosphorus? Mind you, these are innocent people. Babylon was destroyed. You can just go and look it up. I mean, I feel like people are, you guys are forgetting the ways of like what Jesus wanted you to believe in. Jesus states in the Bible, I'm within you, and as long as you believe in me, you will have everlasting life. meaning that he's walking with all of us, and the only way you're going to get off this earth is through Jesus Christ. And people need to be aware of that. And this whole beast system that people are saying it's the beast, it's Satan and this and that, that's not true. Satan was destroyed by Jesus when he killed himself on the cross, and he was sacrificed on the cross, and he was sent to hell for 3 days. He was sent to hell because he put Satan in his place, and Satan has no power unless people upon this world give him power. So after that happened, and all that came to be, it was pretty much free game for any demon that wanted to take over anywhere. So now you have all these demons that are fighting for power. And this whole beast that people think they know who it is, it's the beast Mammon. And people, you got to go and look at that. And this beast Mammon has pretty much disguised himself as Satan in reality, and he's not really Satan. It's a beast. It's a demon. He has no power. Satan has no power here anymore. And this beast Mammon has all the power. And there's multiple demons working together to pretty much spread false stuff everywhere.
All very interesting thoughts, and it just feels like reality is so pliable in so many ways. It's very interesting times that we live in. But thank you so much for the call, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again pretty soon. And thanks for starting off the night with the call, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Take care. And lots of interesting comments going on in the chat room. And Courtney K. Murphy says, has this channel ever addressed if pharmaceutical drug use will affect ascension? You got to think it probably would affect your vibrations, because it's going to change your vibrations. If it changes your vibrations, then yeah, it'll affect it. And I think that's part of the bigger plan. When you look at it, they basically, outlawed marijuana for so long, which kind of like lifts you upwards into a different vibratory state and expands your consciousness a little bit. Just like, so many other things do, peyote and ayahuasca, et cetera, et cetera. But these pharmaceuticals that kind of bring you into a lower vibration, they're okay. And those, they're very addictive, but they get okayed. And so you got to always question what their bigger plan is, and I think that's part of it. And I think it's also part of the whole fear of the sun too, really, because what does the sun convey? Think about it. It's an electric universe, right? And we're learning that there's information that's given from one planetary body and solar body to another. Is this my buddy Peter?
Yes, it is, sir. How are you?
Good. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's a little past my bedtime, but I wanted to call you on air and just tell you what a fantastic job you're doing. And we communicate off air, but I just wanted to personally congratulate you for all your work that you do and for all the work you put into everything. And it's fantastic. It really is.
Well, thank you, brother. I feel bad that I left Florida just when you were getting to Florida, but we'll definitely catch up at some point together.
No, that's quite all right, because I'm kind of a gypsy, and you never know where I'll end up. So that's fine. And you know what? I could come out to visit you tomorrow. I could just, so you never know. You never know. But yeah, I just shut off the YouTube, so I don't really know what you're talking about. But I just wanted to call and say hello.
Well, I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you, and then yeah, we definitely have to set that up so you and I could have some nice time to just chat. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and I'm going to continue to listen to you, and I look forward to everything. If you ever need anything, by all means, this planet is locked down by my galactic father, and this I do know for sure. because I have a witch friend back east. I grew up in Massachusetts, right up the street from Rebecca Nurse, who was tried at the witch trials. And my friend remembers being burned at the stake. And she channeled Isis, and she told me who my galactic father was, Ashtar. And we had never thought about that before. So I just want everyone to know that our galactic brothers and sisters and families really, really, really do have our best interest in mind. And the Light One, Jesus goes by many names. I know him well. To me, it's Lord Sinander, and he's galactic. But I just want everybody to know, don't buy into the fear. Everything's going to be just fine.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and that's what we need to hear.
Absolutely. You're very welcome, because, we are multi-dimensional beings. This is just a slowed-down version of us. You know this more than anyone I know. And, other fragments of us belong in other higher places. So, worst-case scenario, death only means something to the ones that are left behind, and that's it. So, we're all going to be just fine, no matter what. So, blessings to all of you, especially you, Michael. I love you, brother, and you have a great night.
You too, Peter. Love you too. Take care and look forward to seeing you again. Yeah.
All right, buddy. All right, bye.
And so that was Peter, who is a very good family member, and we keep in touch often. And very true. And here is KJ. Hey, KJ, how's it going?
Hey, Michael, how's it going, my brother?
It's going great. How about you? Are you staying warm up that way?
You know what? New York City has been below average for the past couple of weeks, but we're supposed to get a special trick-or-treat weather episode tomorrow. It's supposed to be a nice day and even a little bit warmer on Thursday, which is kind of weird because it's been really cool up here. We've been getting like late November temps, and then all of a sudden we're just going to get like these 1 or 2 nice little days, and then we're going right back into the cold and the rain. So, yeah, it's it is what it is.
It is. Yeah, it's interesting to watch and see all the changes. So what have you been thinking about? What hit you in the last week or so since we spoke last?
Well, I just want to just touch base on. Now, of course, this is my own personal extraction of my existence on this planet, being at 52 years, of which I guess I would say my, cognizant years started around 5, as far as really having kind of an idea of what was going on all around me. And I've always had this odd sense, and the older I've gotten, it seems to, just be more true in the sense that I've always had a sense that we've been here before. Like, we're not, we tend to think we're so special because we're humans and blah, 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 and we have this technology, and look what we've done in the last 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. But in the scheme of the world, to me, it always seems like we're like a rerun. Like, it's just, we're this pattern that occurs. I don't know how many years it may be, because the pattern just seems to be following these certain ancient, weather patterns and things that have happened throughout history. So it kind of makes perfect sense if you start correlating the bizarre changes in weather over the last, say, couple 100,000 years, and to see how societies rose and fell. So I just have this very strong feeling that that's exactly what we're going through, and that, people just have to really learn, like I said, just, you've got to go with it, you've got to accept it. I think that's really the key. I know it's to a lot of people, especially just world events, things that are occurring, there's like this ramping up kind of feeling. And of course the media doesn't help much by constantly stoking the fire. But it just seems like, I think, everyone's got to just realize that this is our, reality. We're not going back to what we were 10 years ago, 20, 50 years ago. we're just progressing through this time frame, and what's happening all around us is just the normal. Actually, it seems abnormal to us because we've never experienced this type of, whether it's weather or natural things that are occurring, combined with what seems to be like this political just weird energy all over the world, not just here in America. I mean, there's weird political stuff going on in places that you would have never imagined. Like, perfect example is they just basically elected a Trump-esque character in Brazil, of all places, and the youth were actually a huge proponent of this, like, conservative guy who's like a military guy and all this. So there's a lot of things that are happening that we just have to just accept for what it is, and try not to get too caught up in the why is it happening, and try to stay more in the now, and okay, this is happening and I've got to accept this, and I've got to deal with it, I've got to take it in, I've got to process it, and keep moving. Don't let it beat you down. Don't let what's going on get you down and depressed, and you've got to just learn that this is it, and we're in it, and it's best to ride it out and enjoy the really good days, and when the terrible days come, just be prepared for that.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a wild ride right now. It's really getting crazy in so many ways. So surrealistic,
Yeah, I mean, it's at a point now where I just don't even want to, and I'm pretty steady with, when I get home, I want to turn on the TV, see what's going on in the news. I mean, some days I'm just like, you know what, I just don't even know if I want to deal with this right now, and that's pretty bad, because I know it's important to stay on top of what's going on everywhere, but it really is ramped up intensely on so many different levels, and I can see why people are anxious, nervous, on edge, and then this whole political stuff and the media, the way they're going at each other, it's, nobody's helping. Everyone's kind of stoking the flames. So everyone's kind of to blame as far as this whole thing and the rhetoric about, if the president's this way, if the media's this way, and everyone's still at the point where they're still pointing figures, and nobody wants to accept it what it is, and find a better place to go with it and how to deal with this. I think we know better. I know you know better, so it's just it's more important for everyone to keep that peaceful energy, because it's just going to keep getting worse, and I just see it, coming down, and whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, I mean, even if it's 6 more months of this level of, madness, it's going to be exhausting for most people, and that could lead to serious depression, and so people just have to be cognizant and aware that this is our new normal, as abnormal as it may be, and to just try to process it the best you can.
That's all we could do, and we got to stay grounded and rooted, and, you have to stay true to yourselves and not be caught up in it. I just noticed, because most of the time I'm surrounded by cows.
That's cool. That sounds great.
Yeah, but when I go into town and the city that's closest to me, it's got, I think, around 80,000 people or so. It's fairly fairly substantial. It's still over a half hour away, but I just it's too buzzy for me now. It really is too buzzy, and and where I'm living now, this town maybe has 1,000 people,
right,
and then that's still too much for me. I'm feeling craving like I want to be more out in the woods, really. It just feels it feels better getting away from it, and that 5G thing is real. And I was sharing, we went into Greenville, South Carolina, and holy crap, they're everywhere. There's 4 of them on every building you look at. There's these 5G towers everywhere, and they really affect us. All these energies affect us.
Yeah. Well, and because of the business I'm in, all of the cable providers with internet service now are set up for 5G all over New York City. So they're just waiting to really throw the switch on it. The system is up and running. It's not yet completely being utilized, but so I mean, just frequencies in general. I mean, it's important. That's why I say people have to be, aware of all of this stuff. And listen, I think that would be the greatest thing people to do is get out into nature. Be amongst the cows, be amongst the birds.
Yep.
You've got to do something to either combat it or contribute. Like, listen, I'm in New York City, brother. I'm surrounded. So, but you know what? When I do what I do, whether I'm blasting music like for Halloween, I'm gonna do like this thing, but I'm and I play music and people really dig it, and it just puts a smile on people's face. And I think that's important. That if you can do that right now, just make somebody kind of ease up and just have a smile, whatever it is, make them just feel like you're cool, they're cool, everything's cool, whatever it may be, because I think people need that. They really need positive vibes and energies right now, because there's so much negative stuff everywhere bouncing around. But just wanted to give you a buzz, brother, and hope all's well, and have everyone have a happy, safe Halloween. And I'll be talking to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, KJ, for joining us once again. Much love, brother.
Take care, brother.
And so that was KJ, and from New York City. And yeah, it's like when 2007 I left Connecticut, and I really felt like the last couple of years I couldn't stand the energy. It was just too intense up there. Had to get away, and so moved to a town of about 700 in South Carolina and felt a lot better there. And have done a lot of moving around since, but it definitely feels way better to me now to be much more out in the woods. And I don't think I could take such like intense energies anymore. I just feel more energy sensitive than I have in the past. And hello, caller. We have you live on the air. Who is with us now?
Hi, my name is Wanda.
Hi, Wanda. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, oh jeez, I got you on twice. Well, basically, you're talking about feelings and how you have to leave certain places. Basically, I've been going through that for the last 4 years and have moved 5 times. And I still have that gotta go feeling. But I don't know where to go. Crazy as that is.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I think a lot of people are feeling that. So where are you right now?
Southern New Hampshire, in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Beautiful area.
It is New Hampshire. It is gorgeous. But, we got those really ominous clouds moving in that actually kind of give me a EBGB kind of feeling going on, if I have to say. There's no other words I can put it through. I got this feeling, this like, gotta go feeling again.
Mm-hmm. No,
My husband's gonna kill me.
I totally understand that. I mean, my family thinks I'm crazy because, my sister bought a place in Florida. Then when I visited her, I fell in love with it, that whole area. So it was just about getting back down there. And I went down there briefly and then, moved up to Ohio to be close to my kids, and then back down to Florida. And then 1 year later, I'm going again. And so my sister thinks, you're crazy. But I just felt like my inner voice was saying, it's time, you gotta go. And when the red tide came, and, just that also feeling like, I just don't feel it's safe. Honestly, I don't feel it's safe on any of the coasts now. I just don't.
I'm about 60 miles away from Hampton Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't make me feel very comfortable.
You're actually pretty close to Asia, if you guys remember Asia. She's
Yeah,
up.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's up in that area as well, and I'm not sure what she's planning. She also was looking at going up a little bit higher, going more inland, but she had seen that there was going to be issues, and I mean we seen, look at what Hurricane Michael did, and now Super Typhoon U2, which it's the replay of Michael over there. That one had even higher winds, and everything in its
Right.
path is just gone. So scary stuff.
It's crazy. It's crazy making because you don't know which way to turn. You're like in this little box, and you go from corner to corner to corner to corner to figure out which way to, out.
Right. So are you getting an impression at all? I mean, do you feel like you need to get farther inland?
I gotta go west.
West.
West. That's what I'm thinking. Lately, I've been getting impressions. Just possibly find some groups that are out there, and they're basically trying to make things work for the group, the whole entire group that they have going. So I'm going to look into those things soon. And I feel I have to do it soon.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things we really should kind of listen to that inner voice. I'm definitely a big proponent in that. I have done that for like the last 12 years pretty much, and although my family might think it's crazy, it really has worked out,
My family thinks I just fell out of the moon. My first impression was something that talked to me. I was about 2.5 years old. This is no lie. My parents remembered it. We talked about it in a bar when I was in my 20s. I couldn't believe that they remembered. And I thought it was a dream or something. But I was standing on a porch. And in that, what happened was there was a swing set I used to swing on, and there was a tree in front of it I would pick off. And I go out on the porch, and in my head, this loud boom says, "Don't go swing the tree, it's going to fall." Well, I'll be darned. I watched it fall, and I was just a little teeny girl at the time. I'm 53 now. I remember it like it was yesterday. And, later in the years, we talked about it at a bar one day, my parents and I. And my mom says, "I can't believe you remembered that. You came running in the house saying, 'God told me, don't swing on my swing.'" And I guess I was wigging. I don't remember any of that. I remember what was in my head that day and the tree falling where I was going to swing. Odd?
Yeah, definitely. But you have to listen to those things, and I can't say how many times I've had those feelings and those vibes, and really, they've all kind of worked out.
So my thinking it's time for a move again doesn't sound so.
But your husband's not going to go for it.
He'll follow me wherever I go.
There you go.
For the most part, I think he will. He's 61, he's sick of moving.
Yeah, I've moved.
yeah.
I've moved a lot of times.
Yeah, I hear you just moved once again.
Yeah, I did, but I think I counted 20 times in the last 10 years, so somewhere around there.
Well, in the last 5, I think I've moved 10 times. Just not figuring out where right now, this is odd. It's my grandparents' house, or used to be, my father's parents. And it moved down into the brothers, my uncles, and then down into the cousins. And it's still a family home. And somehow I got brought back to this place where I was born, in this apartment, which is my mom and dad's first apartment. I was brought here. So, time to maybe listen and move on.
Well, you have to
One of
listen.
those-
Definitely have to listen to the inner voice. For sure.
I'm thinking those, what are those groups called? Survival groups?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different conscious communities coming together, with different intents. And many of them, there are many communities coming together just basically to pool resources and to, survive these times. Some of them have particular focuses, like perhaps meditation or, yoga, things along those lines, or even, religious connotations and belief systems. But there's many people just pulling together to try to be family, basically, and to try to get outside of the system and yet help each other when things break down. So that's something that's definitely happening, and I wish I was in the position financially to do something like that. I've envisioned being able to, say, buy land and then allow people to come in and get smaller chunks of it, and then try to build a conscious community of like-minded people together that were very open-minded and wanted to just basically exist, barter and trade, and helping each other out.
And that is a great train of thought, only because there are so many things that you can, trade for. For instance, just, somebody's got the beans and somebody's got the meat. That's simple.
Exactly. So I'm still hoping that at some point, I hope we have enough time for me to actually be able to, or something to happen where, land becomes available, or, this comes together with, maybe a benefactor like Awaken Heyoka Seeds is saying 40 acres in Arizona. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've thought about
Arizona is the right place to go.
Yeah, I'm thinking you need a place that's going to have a little bit more abundance, because it's the desert. The desert kind of scares me. I don't know the desert. There's, it's not so easy to grow out there, I would think, but a safe area for sure. Somewhere that you could be off grid would be ideal. And like Peter was talking about the Philippines, and the Philippines scare me because they're islands, and we were getting hammered by all these storms. But somewhere that was warm year round would be beautiful. I had been thinking Costa Rica, but of course that's Ring of Fire, and so much.
Yeah, that's the place to go. Excuse my French.
Yep. Yeah, there's issues everywhere. Lately, I keep the back of my mind keeps thinking about Australia, but that's so far away, and it's hard to imagine it. But at the same time, if we ever did have World War III or anything, the Southern Hemisphere would be the place to be. But I don't know.
I also have been. This is my first call into any show. You are the first person I've ever told of what I see.
Well, thank you.
And what I see is groups of people standing up together to make sure. Some of the dreams I've had, oh my God. I don't even want to repeat them. I wake up in such a cold sweat, scared out of my mind. I don't want that to happen. But it may. I'm living in a city, not the best place to be, I would think. Which is why I think the survival groups, or at least people, like you said, in the right frame of mind who are doing the same sorts of things, even with protection and food and just everybody being together and helping out everybody, I think that is going to be the way to go soon.
Yeah, well, I agree. And, people that, there was remote viewers that, for the military, that looked out, and what they saw, I want to say that was, I think it was 2035, or it might have been 2050. But the amount of people on the planet was way less. and people were living in pockets, in groups. We were living more like the Native Americans lived. And that's what they encountered, looking into the future. It was either 2035 or 2050. I forget exactly. But yeah, that's going to be how things, many people think that's how things are going to be. And
yeah, small pockets of people everywhere.
yeah, and I think it would be awesome to be able to be kind of out of the system where you had everything you needed and just basically worked with your neighbors. Would have been beautiful.
I mean, think about having to go into the grocery store. That's how we hunt, grocery stores. We hunt that way. God forbid any of us would have to go out there and hunt for real food. We wouldn't even have a clue.
No, there are those that are pretty gifted with that. I've had some friends, but for the most part, you're totally right. For the most part, you're absolutely totally right.
If you put me out there to find my food, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, stranger things. But your show is so great. I listen to you often, and I'll probably call in again because some of these things I see I may say and talk about sometime. I see a lot, and I tell only my husband. At this point.
Well, we're your family too now, so you could share with us, and if you feel open, then you're more than welcome to.
I can tell you one that was recent, and it was dark. I felt as though I was in one of those places where they have trains underground, like in New York. And I felt as though I was there, and there were different places and people to talk to. But then outside, I was running away, and there were people with guns everywhere trying to shoot the people running away. I'll never forget that dream. I woke up so soaking wet. It was not funny. And that's my most haunting dream.
Well, thank you for sharing, and let's hope that it doesn't come true.
I hope not either.
Well,
otherwise, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, let's hope those are warnings and not necessarily the future.
They very well could be warnings, Change the way you're thinking, change the way you feel, the way you talk to other people, the way you interact, the way you walk by somebody, say hello, smile, make their day. It may be the only smile they ever see.
Most definitely, and that's one of the things I loved. Not that can't happen in the city, but like when you're in the South or when I've seen it in the Midwest as well. I have not lived out west at all. But it's one of those things where you see it a lot in the small towns too, where people just make eye contact a little bit more. And I don't think it means that the people in the cities are bad. It's just that everybody's rushed, and feels that rush and that time crunch.
Yeah, it's always, I got to get going, get up, hurry up, it's 3:30, got to get my lunch, and that's my husband,
yes.
So yeah, it is rushed.
It is.
But
it's sad. But thank you so much for sharing, and do call in again and share some more.
I will, and I'm going to continue listening. Thank you so much for hearing me tonight.
You're
Michael.
welcome. Take care.
Take care.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
And hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
It's Maya.
Hey, Maya. How are you?
Hello.
I knew it was you. I'm
doing the best to ride those crazy waves or these crazy times where the poison is extreme and the white fry and everything. So, doing the best to stay somehow aligned. And I just thanks for your work and bringing together like a little community where, there's a big love bomb vibration here I feel in this chat.
Yes.
As well, it's so crazy. I mean, we have the sun simulator. We have all these thousand unreal things happening. And, like the question is, what is real and what is not? Is ice cold or is it hot? We are living in this crazy kind of times. So, and we were just speaking before, I mean, I'm not a big talker. And my gift is more like song and silence and intention. And I just wanted to suggest, maybe we can just, I do a little song for all of us, and like putting out this intention, because I feel it's the most important thing, like really coming together. I mean, in different places of the world. I mean, there are different groups and different soul families, and there's a lot of resistance that this is going to happen. So why don't we like kind of do a minute? Meanwhile, I'm gonna sing like a little focus that these communities are going to manifest. That money comes in from whatever unexpected places. Yeah. And also at the same time, I mean, there is all these, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Now I remember. All these prophecies, right? And also many people who are having dreams now about, like, I don't know, tsunamis and catastrophic stuff happening. And what I'm feeling lately is like lots of that is also programming. I feel they are programming us in the nighttime also, like with those dreams. I mean, some are like really perception, but also it's like through those dreams, I mean, many people are getting this fear, energy, whatever. So through these dreams, even though we create it, you get me what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. They're definitely there's a lot going on. There's this control and this feeding us with this fear, and I've been trying to focus more on the channel of more positive things. I'm feeling a strong need to obviously let everybody know it's happening, but at the same time, we gotta.
Like holding this space. So what I just want to share one song, because I'm not a good talker, talking a lot, but I'm better for silence. So I want to suggest that, I mean, we're holding space for each of us here in the family, and the global families also are not here. So all our needs are fulfilled, that we find the right place, because many of us, I myself too, I'm like called to a place. I don't know yet how and where to manifest this, but I feel like this urgent need to being somewhere in nature, really urgent, no? And I know many of us do that. So why don't we hold just space a minute for this to manifest, and also like the smoothest outcomes for all the earth changes to manifest. So I mean, like, no. Okay, I'm out of it. If I'm gonna sing.
No, you're doing great, and you're in Mexico now. Are you south of Mexico City?
I think it's like southeast, yes.
Okay.
It was very beautiful. When I was 16, I'm born in Germany, and I had, like, when I was 16, I had this vision of a place in the middle of nowhere, in Mexico, in the mountains, where I would meet my soul family. And it's a long story how I found this place. I mean, it's a long, long, long story. So, and it was beautiful the first years. And, but it has changed a lot. I mean, also, you were talking about the 5G before. I just figured out like 2 weeks ago that they actually, because I felt it, I have been traveling like 2 years, because I felt I've been called to different places to, like, with my song, with my voice, to anchor the divine will in different places of South America, North America, and Europe. And when I came back here after 2 years, it was like, wow, it was so bombarding, like the frequency. I mean, it really hit me back. I was physically, I was saying I was going to die. Like, I knew I wouldn't, because, I still didn't finish my mission. But it was really bad the whole last year. And, oops, are you still there?
Yep, still here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My phone made weird noise. And so I talked to this telephone guy, and I mean, my perception was right. They actually have installed 5G antenna here in the place, and they have been trying it, because that has been like my perception. I'm crazy. I'm just thinking. And he said, yes, they actually like made it go like for a month or two. It's already installed now. So it's really hard. I mean, for me, it's really hard being here between two antennas. And I remember like 30 years ago, Sharon told me, you're one of these women who really need to be in a virgin place, in a virgin piece of land in order to be who you are. So, I mean, right now, it's more urgent than ever. And I know many of us. I mean, I see people around me, like friends, and they're suddenly getting skinny. I mean, they're losing weight. Everybody's sick. So it's pretty tough. So I just want to sing one song for all of us, and holding the intention that everything's going to work out just perfectly fine.
Well, thank you. Yeah, please do. Go right ahead.
May the waters be crystal clear again. May there is a paradise where children play and dream in harmony with the greater symphony of creation. Much love to everybody, and maybe I can ask a favor for everybody here listening to do a prayer that there are people who need to come together very soon. And there are people also, around the musicians in the world. There are some who have lots of consciousness about sound, and it's time that they can come together and just play and do what they came for instead of worrying how to survive and stuff like that. So much love to everybody. Hey, Michael. So beautiful. How are you doing?
Thank you for sharing, Maya. That was beautiful, and it was very heartfelt, and we so appreciate it. And I will catch up with you on Skype, and we'll definitely set a time so we could connect and talk some more.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang up because I'm not a lot for talking. My English, I'm stuttering today. Sorry. Much love to all. Bye, Michael, and thank you. Bye, all. Many blessings to everybody.
Thank you, Maya.
Much love.
Namaste.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So that was Maya. And hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Yes, I go by my middle name, Christos. I'm from California.
Hi, Christos. What would you like to talk about tonight?
Okay, so what we got going on around here is there's this battle where they want people fighting and they want division. So when I'm talking about God, and then you have like an atheistic mindset through academia, through the media, and so what I'm talking about is, so God exists, but also God doesn't exist. Like, I've kind of been on that wavelength. I kind of heard somebody talk about it on Coast to Coast AM before, the caller. And then I've been thinking about it too, because God can't be even or odd. God's like both. So, like, we can all be on the same wavelength of peace. You know, we can talk about our higher self, because when people think about a higher self, it gets them through things, through battles in life. So, yeah, we're all about the love. And this is like one of the best YouTube channels, y'all.
Well, thank you, Christos. I definitely appreciate that. And it is all about love. And yeah, I mean, if you're talking about source, then source is everything. And it's even beyond everything that is a thing. It's beyond that, which is mind-blowing. And it's hard for us to comprehend. But I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. And speaking of, like, spooky stuff, like, I've been thinking about it, and like there was this broadcast last night, like there was this dude named Jeff and Jay, and then there was this dude from England, and they were saying like, oh yeah, well basically, like Satan or whatever, like it's just a thought form, it's not real. And it got me thinking, yeah, it's kind of like all God, you know, it's all love. So yeah, like there's been some good movies over the years talking about the power of positive thinking. So in general, like I'm not like a political guy, like in terms of division, but I think there is a power in thinking about greatness. I don't know, like I think people, like there's a lot of energy going on about like thinking thoughts about love and greatness, and yeah, like I think the team with the best like ideas and the most positivity is probably going to win.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to think about it, and yeah, we're seeing such wild things that are actually, I think, getting a lot of people to question reality, or at least, you know, with their version of reality in their own minds. Everything is changing, and it's just pretty wild because reality feels kind of different. I think a lot of people are having a hard time putting a word to it exactly, but things just feel different. Everything seems kind of strange. You know, when you think about it, the Aboriginals say we're going into dream time again. Like that's where we were in the past golden age. And they call it dream time, and it is kind of like that in some ways. You know, it just seems like things are somehow a little different.
Yeah, you know what? It really does. That's why your videos about the earth changes are so appealing, because, like, it's definitely on people's minds, and we want to figure out what's going on around here.
Well, there's definitely a lot changing. That is for sure.
Yeah, time changes and shifts in people. Like, time's, like, moving faster sometimes. And,
exactly. Time itself does feel different.
Yeah, maybe there's like deja vu in effect. Like, I've just been thinking about basketball, and I'm thinking like, okay, if people are like seeing like all these like multiple 3 points in a row by the Warriors and by the Celtics and all these teams, like, are we actually like evolving like in a way where just like more humans can like just knock down threes? So we apply it metaphorically to like other things.
Yeah, one of the people in the chat room says the quickening, and that's exactly what it is. And you know, I've gotten to be way more convinced of this than in the past. And I shared that the first time I ever heard about ascension and the thought that we're changing basically our frequency, we're going into a different dimension, basically. That was back in like the late 80s, early 90s, and I just read about it and I thought, yeah, it all sounds great, but it's kind of woo-woo and I don't really believe it. But as time has gone on, And as I've grown more and meditated a lot more and learned more, I could totally buy it now, completely. And actually, I do think it's real. I think we are shifting dimensions. I think we're changing. Our reality's changing. Everything is different. And so you're seeing like these guys knocking down trees like they never could before. Does that mean everybody's going to become Michael Jordan in the future? Well, I mean, I'm dating myself. I should say LeBron James. But maybe, maybe in some ways, we could actually become like that. The average person can be that much above the old average. So there'll be a totally new average.
Yeah, I'm about that. I've been thinking about that myself. And I like watching videos that talk about it, to be honest with you. Like, oh yeah, like we're shifting into like the fifth dimension. And like, we're raising our consciousness. That's a cool idea. And then last night, like, they're not talking about race, but like apparently there's this group called the White Brotherhood, the Great White Brotherhood. I guess they're just talking about light. They're not talking about race. So anyway, they were on a
Ascended Masters, basically.
Yeah, right. So these guys are saying like, yeah, actually, in reality, there's like a pendulum swinging, and we're actually like moving into a time where like people are going to be more kind and helpful, and like peace is going to win. Yeah, I mean, I'm about that wavelength, to be honest with you. Like it gets people through things.
I agree, and I just wish I could watch basketball and like all those games I used to just absolutely love, but it just seems like I'm so obsessed with all this, honestly, that I would love to be able to enjoy those things. I'm dying to go back to be able just to enjoy some of the simple things in life like that again. But actually, this has become like a total obsession, so as the ones that are closest to me can tell you, it's 12, 16 hours minimum every day of what I do, just gathering information and trying to give it to everybody, just because it feels like it's imperative. Because, yeah, I'm definitely obsessed, totally obsessed, Sassy Susie, because it feels imperative. It's like I feel like we got to reach more people. And so we could shift things. We need to shift things, and we do have the power to shift things if we could just get that 100th monkey phenomenon going,
Yeah, that's a good thought. Yeah, I kind of get that way myself, like thinking about, yeah, we need to reach more people. That's yeah, I guess we just have to want things to be in divine order, have it happen, but also do our work.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a big change. Mm-hmm. I agree totally. Yeah, there's a huge change going on, and I'm somebody that's always been so physically orientated as well. Just my first wife, just to share with you guys, and I know I shouldn't say this stuff, but you guys are family, so she thought, damn, you're just so into yourself, because I would work out physically for an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, and then I'd also do meditation and QiGong for like another hour or two every day on top of working 10 to 12 hours a day. So kind of a driven person. Did I learn from all that? I learned you still got to be true to yourself. You really, really do. And as the Bible says, you shouldn't be unequally yoked. So you have to kind of be with somebody that's going to support you in those things. And we grow too. We do grow, and we change, we evolve. So we're not the same person today that we were 20 years ago, if we were alive 20 years ago. And 10 years from now, we won't be the same person either. We're constantly growing and changing and evolving. And I think that growth is exponential. And I think people are growing far faster now than they did in the past. And that's probably part of the reason why less people are having kids than like in our history as a nation. And also, people aren't necessarily getting married as much, because I think that we're kind of growing as people, and evolving very, very quickly.
That's a good thought. I hadn't thought about that, as a matter of fact. like I've like thought about like social conditioning and, you know, trying to keep the population down for the environment. But yeah, like it might actually be on our own like free will. Just like sometimes we just gotta, you know, sacrifice that for mankind, humanity. You know, try to free humanity.
I totally understand that, and that's why, you know, it's like, it's not like me to not work out like I used to, and not pay attention to the physical as much, but you know, I just haven't, because I feel such a huge shift towards the energy and towards the spiritual, and also towards the need to basically get the word out to people, you know, and talk about, you know, how things are really, really changing. And it just feels like we're in such critical times right now, to shift consciousness.
Yes, sir. That's a good thought. Yes, sir. And, yeah. Thank you for having me on your show on YouTube.
Well,
Evolutionary Energy Art.
Well, thank you for coming aboard and,
Well,
and sharing, brother. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, and God bless you. Peace unto thee. You know, namaste, all that good stuff.
You too, my friend. Take care.
You know, namaste, all that good stuff.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, it's Shannon Ann. What you doing?
Hey, Shannon Ann. Here she is. Everybody, Shannon Ann. Okay, hold the applause down to a little dull roar. And how many of you out there love her? Because we all love her.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. It's only because of you guys I have the inspiration to do this right now. So thank you.
Oh no, you're an inspiration, and you're a natural, and it's so obvious to see when somebody was doing what they're supposed to do, because it's just natural, it's easy, and they're so damn good at it.
Thank you. And we've talked about this. And when I started talking to you, you know, 6 months ago, I started listening to Evolutionary Arts. I was already awake, but, you know, people are awake, then they become more awake, if that makes sense. They find more information out, and that's when I found you and other Grenfell and Minimum guys and other things. But when I started talking to you, I told you, like, I feel that there's something I'm supposed to do, and I don't know what it is. Do you remember me telling you that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember the conversations.
Yeah, like, what is my purpose? I've got to find my purpose. And I found it, and you know, we've talked. I'm so excited about what's about to happen, and everything. You know, I don't know how to start this, but I'm going to do it. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it with the help from my friends and you and other people. So, what do you want to talk about? You go.
Well, you know, I'm here for you in whatever way I could be a help, and you know, I think what you were talking about and touching on, like we were talking about those chefs, you know, the Mercy chefs, and you know, that's just another way that people can help. There's so many ways that people can contribute, and we have to start thinking more about that. Thinking out of the box, you know, what's our little niche? What can I possibly do? Okay, I don't have any money. You know, maybe I have a little time. So what can I do? How do I get involved in trying to help people and spread the love, pay it forward?
Exactly. People don't understand it. It's not money that you need creativity. Creativity creates the means to do these things. And that's, you know, like I said, I don't know if everybody knows, but I lived in Panama for almost a week and a half. And sleeping out of my car because, and I haven't posted that video, and you know what, I can talk about it right now, why I slept out of my car, not a hotel. Do you want to go into that really quick?
Sure.
Okay. When we eventually evacuated from Hurricane Harvey, we went to our next town over east side towards Louisiana, which was Lake Charles. Well, as you know, we didn't know when we were coming back to. We wanted to stay relatively close to our home because Lake Charles didn't have any flooding like the massive flooding that we had here in Orange, Texas. So we were frantically trying to find hotels. And not just me, almost the entire community had to be evacuated because they did not order a mandatory evacuation. Well, everybody flooded, had water in their house, and they had to get out. So we all went east because going west, which would have been Houston, was devastated. So as we're getting into Lake Charles, which is the next biggest town 30 minutes away,
we all found out that there was no places to stay because all the hotels were taken up by the first responders. And again, I'm on this video, and I'll explain, I'm never any way going to say what they did was not helpful because they got people out of the houses who weren't able to move. There was amazing help that we needed as a community. However, it took up hotel spaces for the families that needed it. We had to end up going 2.5 hours into Louisiana, which was into Lafayette, to get a hotel. So people who were evacuated weren't able to be close to their home when they could get back in. So for me, I kind of took a stand against that, and again, not against the first responders, but the resources that were there for the community weren't there. And so I decided to continue to sleep in my car because I was not going to take up a hotel room that would go to a family in need.
Well, that's beautiful. That was definitely a beautiful thought.
And again, I've never ever we needed, the first responders are amazing people, but I don't think, because they are actionary, they're not thinking about that thought. They're thinking about, we need to get there, help these people, and get them out of their houses and get them the things that they need. But the thing that the people need after the disaster happens were hotel rooms, and they were all gone. So I know it's stupid, but it's one of the reasons why I stayed and I did not want to drive 30 minutes to a hotel. And I was challenging myself. One of the reasons, again, I'm challenging myself to do this because people have to stay in their cars if they don't have a place to go from disasters. Right. And it's not fun. I tried everything to make my car comfortable. I think I rearranged it every single day. Oh my God! But I guess we could talk about what I'm going to do forward if you want to.
Yeah, please do.
While I was there, and we'll talk about the media first of all not paying any attention to what has happened there. It is an absolute. If I would say what a bomb looked like going off, it would be there. It is devastated. I've never, again, we've been to hurricanes, I've been to disasters, and we've all seen them on TV, but being there and seeing every single business closed for miles, nothing opened, everything is chaotic, police are passing by you with lights on every single time. When it is dark, there are no street lights, hardly any lights still, and we're almost a month after Michael. When did Michael hit? I want to look at that. What date did it hit? And we'll look at date. Do you remember? I know it's at least 3 weeks ago, but
yeah. Let's see.
Well, so it's almost a month, I would say, just about, that it's hit. And it's, of course, still far, far, far from being anything organized. And you have people sleeping in parking lots of Home Depot, and a lot of, you've got campers there. There's no places to camp because all the campgrounds got devastated. And when I would get off of work, you work 12 hours a day.
It was 20 days ago. It was 20 days ago exactly now.
So, about 3 weeks ago. Okay. So again, there's hardly any street lights. So when you're driving you don't know where you're going if you don't know landmarks. Does that make sense? Like if somebody told me in my hometown, go to Parker Street, I'm like, where's Parker Street? I've lived here my whole life. I know it by the landmarks, but when your landmarks are gone, how do you know where to get there? And if you don't have GPS, how do you know? These little things like that was popping into my mind. And so one night when I got off of work, I needed a shower, and there were about 7 comfort stations they're called comfort stations, set up by FEMA, where you can go get a hot meal. They have Wi-Fi, showers, and such like that. I don't, give you some resources and stuff. And they gave you addresses, and you had to find, of course, I found it because I went on Facebook and found it. Well, what if you don't have internet? What if you don't have any means to get that information? Because when I could get internet, it was very scarce. So it's like, all the internet cables are down, all the electricity is still down. So how do these people know, not just me, first responders, survivors of the disaster, how do they know where to go and get any help if they, besides just driving around and looking for it, you know? They might need something more specific, and if they had something tangible to find this information, it would be so much easier and quicker, and people won't be wasting gas. They won't be, you know, fumbling around to find where to go. So what I want to do and what I want to start is a charity, an organization that goes down there and literally gets on the ground, you know, researches where these places are and comes back and prints out in paper. Tangible things are what's needed here. You can't rely on your internet, on your phone anymore when you have no means to get on the internet. Nobody thinks about that, you know? So I'm going to start this organization that literally creates a map and tells people in their area where things are, where this is, and how they can get there, what times things are open, what times things close, what the curfew is for that day. You know, a lot of people have lost their jobs because every single business is closed. Well, there's also so many businesses coming in to help. Well, where do they know to go to apply for this job? Where do they know to, you know, apply on the internet? Well, these people don't have the internet. They can't apply for a job. They can't look for jobs when they don't have the resources to do it. So if you give them information they can read and a map where they can go, they will find it. People need this. I am so passionate about this right now. It's unbelievable because people don't have that. People are just staying in their houses because they have no idea where to go. Mercy Chefs, when I met Ryan with Mercy Chefs, they had so many extra meals that they went around and gave to people because people don't know that they are out there. They don't know where to go to get this meal. So I don't know where to go from here, but that's just so I know I just have this idea and I want to help people. And people like you, I know are on board. And I just sent a video out there. I don't know if you saw it, but I challenged like Diamond and Ice Age Farmer and Adapt 2030 to help me raise funds to get an RV, to get printers. And I don't know what all I need, but I know I need printers and computers and a good Wi-Fi to find all this information and get, you know, and people on the ground to help me hand out these, you know, these packets of information.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's a great idea, and that would be a great thing to create. And there's so many wonderful ideas out there, and you know, God knows we're going to need that in these times because we know there's more where this came from. And if you caught like the video today on the Earth changes, you know, the question is, why even rebuild at this point? You know, because just think about that. I mean, the destruction you saw could happen in New Orleans, it could happen in Houston, it could happen in Biloxi, it could happen, you know, anywhere.
And it happens so quickly that people do not have the ability to prepare. Like with Michael, they went to bed at a cat 2 and woke up the next day with a cat 4. And they're like, oh God. And so, yeah, it can happen anytime and very, very quickly.
Very quickly, and that's pretty scary. And you know, just because we're going into a period of cooler weather, obviously, if we look at this season, for instance, doesn't mean that we're not going to see hurricanes and typhoons, you know, because we just set the record this year. This was the record year. We've never had more than this. You know, it's blown it away.
Yeah. I thought last year was pretty bad because of Harvey, Maria, and Irma. We thought last year was bad. Oh, no. What is that? Hey, no, we can top that one. That's what Mother Nature said to us. We're going to do this. So, yeah.
Well, I wish you, you know, the best with that endeavor, and I'm on board with you in any way I can help as well. And, you know, we need to move forward. And, you know, there's going to be such a huge need for exactly what you're thinking and other aspects as well.
Yeah, well, when you don't, we thought, or I did, print was going out. I worked for our local Beaumont Enterprise, and I was like, why are we still printing paper? This is ridiculous. Everything's on the internet. But then when you don't have the internet, you have no information. Like the people down there, they were completely cut off from the world. They didn't even know about Hurricane Willa. They didn't know about the U2 super typhoon. They had no information from the outside world. One of the other things is I want to bring in newspapers for people to read. They need, just something to get their mind off of their everyday thing that's going on there. Because they don't have regular, I don't know if it's mail, but people aren't bringing stuff in like newspapers. They're not delivering the newspapers like they did. If you have a resource just to say, hey, we got, as you hand out this and do other things, print is going to come back in for this specific reason. I really do believe.
Yeah, it's there's so much need for people to step up now and to think out of the box, and that's exactly what you've done with that. And let's all do our best to help get that in motion.
Yep, I am regrouping here for about 2 weeks, as less time as I can, and I mean, even if it's just me down there or my brother or me and him giving out this information, I know people it's going to be like this for a while there, and people need to know. So I'm regrouping, and if I have to go by myself in my little car, I will, but I would like to see what we can come up with to get it, going. So thank you so much for being such a mentor to me, and I look forward to what we've got coming along,
Well, thank you, Shannon. It's been my pleasure, and thank you for your friendship and sharing with me on a daily basis as we do.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Take care. Namaste. And hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
My name is David. I was just kind of wondering about your thoughts on Donald Trump, the deep state, and the upcoming economic collapse.
Okay, so we have Trump and the deep state and the collapse. Well, yeah, I've shared in the past kind of like how I felt like when it came to the election, and just I'm always going to be honest with you guys. I felt honestly that if Hillary, and I'm on record saying this, I had the worst feeling in my stomach of that if Hillary was going to be elected, we were going to see World War III. And to the point of feeling kind of almost having panic attacks about it. So in my mind, I was not pro-Hillary at all. But I've also never voted for a Democrat or a Republican because I just feel like it's always kind of more of the same. Trump, I've learned more about as time has gone on. And, there's been some good things done in many ways, but yet at the same time, the things that really make me feel like nothing is really changing on the major level is that the military spending has gone up, which it's gone up actually even more dramatically than in any other presidency. So that always concerns me. And then, we haven't seen a lot of our freedoms come back to us. So I'm suspicious, but I'm suspicious of everybody. I'm not going to jump on board with anybody. I'm going to hope that they're going to, prove to me that they really are trying for change. But at the same time, I'm going to be suspicious of them because I don't trust any politicians at all, period. And I do feel like by the time you get to any sort of real position of power, for the most part, the lobbyists, the corporations, they got their hooks in you, one way or another. And I do think there's been people that have tried to make real change and then they get assassinated, and we saw Eisenhower and Kennedy both warn about the military-industrial complex. And, in the case of Kennedy, then, he died a week after making a big statement about it. So I'm very cautious. I mean, I hope that the swamp is truly being drained. And I think if it is being drained, which it very well may be, because there's multiple sources saying that, I'm suspicious about the motives, is what it is. So when we look at throughout history, we see case after case, a lot of times where there's infighting between those in power. And for sure, one group will take down another that we might view as being corrupt, and or evil, or against the populace, against the average people. But yet, often more than not, they're doing it for their own ambition and for their own purposes, and not necessarily the well-being of the people. And so when we see, that going on, to me right now, it looks like it's a battle of the banking cabal against the military-industrial complex. And do either of them really care about us? I have not seen anything that makes me think either of them give a crap about us, honestly. I think that they're still serving their own purposes. Even though it could mean that a lot of bad people, quote unquote, self-serving people, quote unquote, people that have been in power for a long time taking advantage of the average person might get taken down. We might see that. Ultimately, are they doing it for us, or are they doing it for themselves? And I don't believe that they're really doing it for us. I think that they probably are doing it for themselves, even though it might end up taking down some people that need to be taken down.
Right. Well, what do you think about the upcoming economy collapse? On your view, kind of on that, do you feel like
it's coming?
It's being pushed upon us, or is Trump actually got our best interest in heart, or
I think
something that we might actually see, play out in the Book of Revelation here?
Yeah, I think that's in the cards. The economic collapse is in the cards, and actually, there's a lot of things showing. Now, I did not really believe in an economic reset, quote unquote, Nasara, Gesara, all that. And I've had a lot of friends that are constantly telling me, this is real, this is going to happen, this is real. And I'm saying, yeah, sure. I really, I'm kind of cynical on it. But, the more I look at it, the more I think that, there might be some good forces out there trying to bring about some fairness. But they're fighting an uphill battle. But I do think a collapse is in the mix for us. We are, looking at economic collapse. And then, as I'm glancing into the chat room, I see one person saying we're talking about 3D reality. And yeah, there really could be two different realities that go on as well, where we actually do kind of split. You could think of it as a Mandela effect, or a complete reality split as well. But I do think that we are going to see another collapse. It's been 10 years since 2008, and I do think we're going to see a bigger one than 2008. And I think, unfortunately, we're going to see a series of events. And I think it's all about basically taking down the old system, because the banking cabal really wanted to send power over to China and to the East, because it's a complete Big Brother system, completely. And as much as we are Big Brother over here in the United States with drones and all this tech and stuff, you still have more guns than people, and we're still armed to the hilt here. It's not the case in China. It's not the case in Europe, and we're a problem. Even though they have high-tech ability, they could use DEWs, they could shoot down lasers from the sky, from satellites and stuff. There's just too many Americans that are armed, and you're never going to take their guns away from them. So how do they get rid of that problem in order to control us completely? That's why I think they're going to pull an economic collapse, and I think they are going to also orchestrate natural disasters, and it'll culminate in basically an attack on the U.S., and that's what I really feel in my gut and also in my heart, and that's what I've seen in my dreams.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
No problem, caller. Thank you for sharing.
Goodbye.
So I hope that wasn't too heavy for you guys. Was that heavy? Netsaya, I see my brother had called while we were on call. So Netsaya, if you're listening, give a call back in, brother, and we will talk. Miss you. You are definitely a light, and I miss your light, so I'd love to hear from you. And here he is, Netsaya.
Hey, How's it going, brother?
Yeah, it's going better now that I get to hear your voice.
Likewise, it's. Remember how I told you my story about what happened to me with my brain when I was blown up all those times? Well, somehow, some way, I didn't forget about you, but somehow, some way, I forgot about you. And it's all thanks to YouTube. You know, the hurricane. I'm just kidding, but YouTube. Like I just found out today. I was like, hey, whatever happened to Mike? And then I went to go check, and sure enough, I'm unsubscribed.
Yeah, well, I could see it because it comes in ebbs and flows. Let me share with you guys while I have Netsaya on the phone with you guys. I just want to share like some views. And if you could see, okay, so the interview with Steve, WSO, 679 views. There's no way that's 679 views in 4 hours. You know, usually it's about 1,000 views an hour. The Super Typhoon one, 4,981 views in 9 hours. That's probably at least double. The Need for Unity one, 656 views in 8 hours. You know, not everybody really wants to talk about peace and unity, and that's really sad and disappointing. But you know, it still probably is about 2,000 or 3,000 views. And then the one about the, you know, Albert Pike, 7,314 views. It's probably double that as well. So what they're doing right now is they're basically doing everything they could to keep people away from the channel, which, you know, that's one of the things they do. That's one of their tools. Unsubscribe.
And actually, in our reality, we can polarize that very easily, because in our reality, not the fact that they're how can I put this, censoring you and preventing others like you that are spreading real news. I almost wanted to say good news because it is the gospel, honestly. What you guys do, or what you do, and others like you, it truly is the gospel. It really, truly is in the life. And when it comes to the economy collapse. Think about this, people. A dollar, I'm gonna say it's a fucking illusion. Okay, all economy, all monetary means is an illusion, people. That is the number one reason. It's not greed. It's not greed. It's the love for money that has created the competition that has created, red weddings.
I agree. I agree.
We need to go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I agree. And honestly, I pushed money away from me forever. My entire life, I've kind of pushed money away, for the most part. But then I realized, you know, there's really nothing there. This is just numbers. This is just numbers in the ether. It really is nothing. It's nothing. You know, so there's no reason to really push it away, especially when you're just dying to do good with it. There's no reason to push it away.
Exactly, and you said the number one word is something just in the ether, meaning it's an illusion that we can grasp if we want. But you said the number one thing, ether, yes, which is money, okay, monetary, not necessarily economy, because economy can be done with, say, for instance, cacao beans, or even coffee beans, or even salt grains. People, please look this up, and you're going to be like, wait, what the? How is it that something in my household right now can be money? You'll see that it was done for hundreds of, even thousands of years, just sharing salts and different things like that. But anyhow, ether, okay? So yes, money is an illusion in the ether that only, okay, it only benefits the 3D ego or lower ego. 3D is lower, isn't it? We're going what? 4th to 5th, right? Higher. So 3D ego stands for etheric gut organism. Okay, for all you youngsters out there, meaning all you young souls that do not know about how the gut actually has the ability to manipulate our actual mind, our actual brain that functions, our body. So we have to, the actual ego that all legends and stories talk about, they're talking about the core, the gut ego, the instinct part. That's the true trinity. The gut is 1, the heart is 2, the brain is 3. What is located in the brain? So many things, pineal, pituitary, all kinds of things, right? Yes, but without the gut, the brain is not going to function properly. Think about what I just said right there. Without the gut, the brain will not function properly. And then that way, the brain won't be able to function properly, which means what? That mind that thinks it's the ego is not going to be able to function out of service to the heart, whereas the coherent, once you do those 3 things right there, that's the Merkaba, people. And you get to travel everywhere. And that's where the illusion comes in. You get to be the illusion. We are gods in the sense that we are fractals of what is considered to be source.
And that's a beautiful thing, and that's true. And you know, that's one of the things. We've talked about this before. So I reorganized my page here, and just so people could see some of the older videos that I did. And one of them is right here under Conscious and Reality, the fractal nature of the universe. I did it a year ago. 190 views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's because people don't know. That's what I meant about youngsters, because there's even some listeners here who think they're like, oh, we're ahead of the game. No, not really. Even the ones that have been supposedly awakened for 5 to 6 to 8 years, we're still way behind because we have all been misled. Everything has been infiltrated. There's so much work. We have to be careful with what we invest our attention at. Okay, for meaning like Michael, he's an exception. He has done the inner work necessary, so he can focus on these real news, because to him, he's not going to get poisoned like all you other young souls out there that don't understand how mirror neurons work. I'm putting it more in layman's terms so that you can look into these things in physical realm. But what I'm referring to with Michael is he's done the work in 4 to 5 to even 6, without even knowing, 6 realms, okay? 6 planes of existences. One of them is the physical, the material plane that we have all been fighting each other to be masters and kings of, which is BS, okay? Then we have the emotional, the spiritual, the mental, then we go to metaphysical, and there's several more, but the brain cannot understand these right now, okay, so there's no need to even get into these other things. But with the illusion of money, just like with Michael, I have never worried about money in my lifetime. How can you say that? Well, think about this, guys. I'm a veteran, all these things, yeah. What I'm trying to get at is I have fought for this country, which I believe America is actually the true America, not the infiltrated, government part of it. Okay, the true America, the true American dream is the worldly dream. In all reality, that's why we have so many trying to come here and nowhere else. Okay, and all these freaking caravans and exoduses. Michael, I mentioned this to you a while back. I told you that this was going to happen. That there was going to be mass exoduses coming over here. And this is why those population numbers from that one Google, whatever that thing was, are true, because so many people are going to be here in one place. What happens when that happens? What happens in prisons? They go fucking insane, people. So yes, those numbers could be correct, and we're going to be killing each other. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but this is the fact. Okay, this is why so many true awakened people, even if they were poor to the lowest grain, they were able to figure out how to get out of the main cities, because their heart, their hunger, like they were just leading them to another city, and they finally ended up outside, and whether they had money or not is what I'm referring to, they found out a way to get out without excuses. Back to the money. I have not worried about any single money, people, and I have everything I possibly need because of how energy and that, illusion, etheric realm works. What's in your heart will be reflected out. All the planets reflect what has happened to other planets and is going to happen to our planet, meaning the 3D one. Parallel realities, fifth is going to shift, is facing us dead in the face, people. The moon is a literal reflection. Doesn't it reflect the sun? Okay, so it's reflection dead in our face, looking at us. Hey, people, this is what you're going to end up pretty soon. You're going to end up like this if you don't wake up. All right, and pretty soon, by 2043, 2045, some of you will live to see, listen to these words, will see the moon serenade us. And there's no need to get deep into this, but we see all kinds of things happening with the moon. Okay, with all these stories coming about. Why? Because it's the higher consciousness, people. It's not, how can I put this? People's theory, it's hard to explain how you can polarize everything and everything is set in front of us to test us. This is a school, people. This is a school of gods. This is why there's so many, some of you don't know, but there's so many, extraterrestrials, okay, galactic brothers and sisters that don't have the power that we do. Why? Because they don't have the power of emotions like we do. Everybody are trying to help us, believe it or not, and we have been infiltrated internally. So those exodus, they're being pushed by, the dark state and, good governments and bad governments. Because they need to wake people up, and yes, I know it sounds freaking crazy, but when we fight each other, we're going to be like, hey, what the hell are we doing? And finally, we're going to wake up. I know it sounds crazy, but this is the only way it can happen, the cycles. How do you think the Grand Canyon happened? How do you think Utah happened? That's erosion, people. Think about it. The heavens will open up and the water will come from the air, from the sky. It's not just going to be water levels rising. How did the Grand Canyon get eroded, people? Think about it. How did Utah get eroded? You people think Michael's been sharing those maps that shows how can that place be inundated? Well, because the water comes from the top. Look at some of the videos and you will see how is it possible that almost an ocean is literally dropping over a city. You don't see through it. You don't see little specks. You see a full-blown can. It looks like a huge entire can because it's just a solid mass coming down. Michael, I sent you a video on Facebook, okay? It's about mascons. People, look this up. Mascons. It's concentration of mass. Okay, there's actually history that does not have the moon in our reality. The moon was placed there, and there's solid masses in the backside that we cannot see that keeps it in that specific spot. If it was closer, we would be having insane tsunamis every single day. If it was further away, we would have to live underground. And have anybody heard of ant people?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
ant
yeah.
people, what do ants do? They live underground.
Yep, most definitely. And I was just searching for a video I did before about the moon where it talked about the fact that the indigenous people remember when it wasn't there, and they remember when it was brought there.
Yes. Look up mascots if you want. It's only like a 3-minute video that I sent you. The first video I sent you a little while ago. It's only like 2.5 minutes long, I think. It's specifically a gentleman that very awakened gentleman. He's like a brother. He's like the equal, just like you are. He is to me. Like he's just. I consider him my duplicate of me. It's really weird. And you know what I'm referring to, Michael? It's weird synchronicities, but that is too identical. It's weird. But anyways, and he's explaining this, how all this happened, how perfect the things have to be in order to create a total eclipse. Like, those things don't happen by accident. And when you find them in stone, okay, written in stone, and there's certain legends about it and stuff like that, you might want to listen to those things and not, only the internet. The internet leads you to those things. And don't forget, like when you're thinking of something, all of a sudden, holy shit, it's in my recommendations. Some of you are going crazy thinking, oh, it's a deep state, they can read our minds now and this and that. Well, guess what, people? That's 3D. If you want to stay there, go ahead. But in my world, where I'm at right now, 5D, talking to you guys, you don't have to believe me. that is my higher self or other etheric sponsors guiding me through it. When I think about it, they're like, all right, here you go, I'm making it easier for you. I thought about videos. I'm like, all right, I got all the videos. I'm like, damn, it's going to take so long to edit this. And I just do a little prayer meditation. The next day, I get guided to a video, and it's everything to the T. I swear to you, it's just different presentation, but the same exact clips that I had of Rick Braden, of Bruce Lipton, of Max Gerson, and even her daughter, Charlotte Gerson, all these things, and all of a sudden, it's there, and I'm like, all right, cool, I can just share this now. And this has happened all for many years since when I was a kid, just like what Michael said, without worrying about money. I would just think of making a smile on somebody. Somehow, I would get the opportunity to do it. Which means I get money. Yes, we need money because the illusion still works in the society that is programmed to work that way. But you don't have to worry about money. It's like when I tell people, what is your priorities? Wow, it takes a long time. Is it your children? Yeah. Is it work? Yeah. Is it school? Is it? And they're like, actually, yeah. How'd you know? Okay, you're wrong. And they're like, what do you mean? They look at me like they want to punch me in the face. How can you say that when I have to worry about my kids? It's like, yes, that's an automatic, people. All three of those things are an automatic. You can do those with your eyes closed, can't you? I mean, if you can, you're insulting yourself. You're insulting your mother. You're insulting God. So what I'm getting at, the true priority should be how to keep smiles. It's that simple. Everything else will fall in place. How to keep your gut clean. It's that simple. You will get led to the right lifestyle to get to. Microbiome, please clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we realize, and I was talking about the quote, where it was said, "Ye are gods," and so people don't understand the bigger picture, and so some of the people in the chat room are totally lost, but with what you were talking about. But I totally get you, and just like Dr. Ouch, who when he calls in too. A lot of people are like, what's he talking about? Because they're just not ready and they just don't understand it yet. And they're not getting the bigger picture, but I totally get you. I mean, I totally get you. To me, I love you. You're one of my favorite people.
Reflection, brother. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I mean, I totally get you, but it's just, it does go over the head of many, but there are many that catch what you're talking about too, and you're talking about the microbiome. So as above, so below. It all goes together. We are, and I was getting onto that. Ye are gods. Well, we are all basically universes unto ourselves, and so you're talking about the microbiome, which, if we take care of the microbiome, it will take care of us, and so it affects our consciousness, and we don't even think. Do we ever give any thought to the bacteria and everything else that's alive in us and ever think about how that might actually affect us? We don't. I mean, it never comes into our consciousness.
Exactly. And then to close off, if that's what you need to happen after this, you mentioned exactly what I almost forgot to mention. I'm going back to organisms, Earth. Okay, you just mentioned that. Yeah, what's happening with Earth right now? It is literally dying. Literally, like the 3D planet is literally dying. What happens to a body, a dead body, a human dead body? It expands because of the bad bacteria having a perfect environment to multiply. Doesn't that sound like that's what's happening with Earth right now, with reality? Okay, not only that, I mean, look at the red tide. Are you kidding me? That's literal bacteria. Exactly. The body is dying, people. The body is dying. Please clean it up so that you can go with us to the fifth dimension. Look I know this is what I meant about youngsters. It's not an insult. It doesn't think that I think I'm better than they are. I'm not saying that Michael's better than the listeners. No, it's just some people. What I'm getting at is though that the subconscious, the other trinity inside our head, okay, conscious, unconscious, and subconscious. The subconscious is going to record everything, and it's going to help you in your dream tonight. Remember the proper things. Remember the proper things. And you're going to wake up and you're going to say, oh, that crazy guy, I don't think he's crazy anymore. No, you're still going to be like, man, that crazy guy is way crazier now that I got some rest and I thought about it. But in all reality, things are gonna start falling into place like little Legos, and they're gonna just start stacking up, and then eventually that ascension of stacking of Legos in the mind, Legos, Lego my ego. Holy, that just came out of nowhere. Anyways, it really is gonna give you an ascension, crawl, walk, run phase. Okay, there's many things I would love to share, but yes, I have to be very careful with the way I say it because it does get a lot of people lost because everybody takes everything face value. Again, first dimension, not first dimension as in what the dimensions are, but first dimension as in a human perspective. First dimension is what? Physical material realm, what I touch. Placebo, if I take the sugar pill that I don't know it's sugar, I feel better. Oh my God, that's mental. Second state. It keeps going, people. Crawl, walk, run face. Eventually, okay, I'm going to open up a page called Soul Reviver. S-O-L. Not S-O-U-L. Not S-O-L-E. Those are the freaking typical, dead in the face, face value. Look up soul. What do you think our planetary system is called? Soul. System, because there's many more uninhabited systems that are not solar because they're not called soul. They're called Maya or different ones.
Right.
And by the way, Maya is just okay. It's called illusion. But you can call it an illusion in my world if you want. Go ahead and keep staying asleep. We all wake up to our own ways, okay? No one's going to be left behind, but some people are going to go through certain cycles. Some are going to go through linear time dimensional reality. Others are going to go into fractal consciousness reality. Others are going to go to spiral consciousness reality. There's many more people. We are so behind. School's in effect. Soul Reviver's coming in soon. Trust me. It's going to be a great thing for ascension purposes.
Brother, do you want your anonymity, or are you okay with me sharing your Facebook page? Because people are asked. I mean, some asked about if you have a website or a YouTube.
Yeah, it's gonna have to happen anyways. I have to show people bravery. Most people that are in our shoes, some people that are in our shoes, tend to kind of hide back, because they want to keep spreading the news, and hopefully they don't take care of them like other great people have been taken care of, if you know what I mean. But it's time to fully unleash everything. I mean, I've been held back, but now I'm being sponsored by the etheric realm, and I'll explain you kind of have a speculation of what I mean, Michael, okay? But overall, you're going to see pretty soon, things are going to explode in a great way for at least 10% of the listeners right now. Why? Because they're going to be like, hey, I trust Michael. This guy over here's a little crazy, but Michael's doing certain things with them, and I love the things that they're co-creating. And then they'll be like, oh, I want in on this because this helps people. And it gives me that illusion we call money. And I don't even have to work hard. All I do is help people. How is this possible? I've been studying for 3 decades about all these. I was a weird kid growing up, people, but it's going to be great. Yes, Michael, share it. It's done. Okay, my brother. I will. And, the way I view it is if somebody shoots me, then they shoot me. It's no big deal. I've been here before. Exactly. It's whatever. Done here, been this before. I always think of the Tools song, where they're talking about... my favorite band!
Yeah.
My favorite band!
Well, of course.
I always listen to them.
Yo, that's...
When I was a kid, I never heard of the actual lyrics until lately, and I'm like, how did I not listen to these lyrics before? But now I understand why I was so stuck on it. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, that's it, exactly. That's what I think of all the time. And Tool, by the way, is my favorite band, too, as far as rock goes. See, that's what I mean. How is that a coincidence? This is weird.
Yeah, I mean, as they says, it's all right. I don't mind. It's okay. I've already done this before. I've died many times. So...
Go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
So it's no big deal. I mean, we've been here before. We've done it before. It's all about getting the message out.
And guess what, Michael? Today I got a download saying that people like you and I and others, like Tellinger and all these people that are bringing out some stuff, I always wonder, how are these people still alive? Well, guess what? Because if they're dead, if you're dead, if I'm dead, our type of souls, they're going to have a hard time. They need us alive because if we're dead, we have more powers, Michael. I know you know what I'm referring to, okay? With the physical body, we're actually limited. even though I think this is beautiful reality that we live in through the pain and all. But what I'm saying is, this is why, I mean, you only know a few of the things I've been through, Michael, when it comes to, near-death experiences. Well, they were not near-death. Whenever anybody has a near-death experience, you actually died, people, but you shifted to a parallel reality because what was in your heart gave you that. But in this reality, yeah, your actual parents of this reality, yeah, they cry for you, mourn for you, blah, 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 yeah. But you are still in their heart when you keep going on the next reality. It's weird how it works. I'll explain all that stuff in my Soul Reviver YouTube page. I'm telling you, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Where does this information come from? It sounds crazy, but it makes so much sense because the way I'm going to put it. Wait till you see it. I've been studying everything, all types of production people, because I believe in mixed media, the Muse, M-U-S-E. Not news, the muse. It was supposed to be the muse, M-U-S-E, to stimulate the soul into remembering, recalling, like Plato and all these wonderful souls that try to wake us up. This is beautiful, man. I am in bliss right now.
Oh, brother, I just want to share that you are one of the most beautiful souls I know, and I love you completely.
Thank you, brother. And it's weird because wait till you guys see what my first name is. And if you guys know what my last name is, look up my last name. Not about me, about where it's at. You're going to be like, wait, how is this? And then this guy was born at life path number 9? Wait a minute, what? And he's a Pisces, and wait a minute, what? And the list keeps going on. We chose everything, people. We chose everything because that's what we needed for our personal ascension at this time.
See, I love you too, man. And you're a life path 9. I'm a life path 1. You're a Pisces and I'm a Cancer. So you and I together were meant to be as far as getting the message out.
That's a freaking yin yang, actually. The Cancer and the opposite. That's weird.
It is. It's so crazy. It is, but it's the fractal nature of the universe.
Yes, exactly. And I guarantee you right now, there's only like 2 or 3 people that are like, oh my God, that's what I needed to hear today, and this and that. And everybody's like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Go get a room or something. And one last thing, you guys have to start being intimate with yourself. This does not mean go into the bathroom and do your thing. No, intimacy. Meaning getting closer, closer relationship with yourself. Guys, go into a bath, okay? Put some essential oils and turn on some candles and just close your mind and close your eyes and watch my words. Watch what happens. You're gonna love it. Women, freaking, some of you already do it. Put some gloves on. Start punching a punching bag. Don't pit it hard. Just go all out. Try to, pretend it's the guy that made you mad. See what happens inside. It's amazing. Embrace your opposite and build the world you want. It's okay to desire. It's okay as long as it's not desire for flesh. That's it.
Well, you have my utmost love and respect, brother, as always.
Thank you. Same here, brother. Same here, and I'm glad we can be a great reflection. Contrasting reflection. People think I'm crazy. People think you're heart, your love, your light. It's cool. I love it. This is the balance we need.
Thank you for what you do. I so appreciate you.
Hey, one last thing before I go. And one thing I do notice that hey, Gordon, I'm listening, brother. I'm listening. I'll be contacting you soon. I want to get something together for the people so that we can all jam out. And I'm sure you'll be the perfect host for that. Love you, brother. Gordon.
Sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Namaste, dear one.
Right. One love.
One love. And I know I lost some people on that, but I don't care because, it's about the bigger purpose. And this is a person that really loves humanity. All his heart. He's here for everyone. Even if you can't understand it yet. And there's many of you out there that people won't understand. Our own Gordon sometimes. People might not understand Gordon, but Gordon is pure freaking love. Ray is pure freaking love. I mean, these guys are freaking beautiful. They're beautiful. There's nothing to them but just wanting to help with all their heart and all their soul. I mean, I love you guys. Gordon, I absolutely love you and adore you. And same thing with Ray Ray and with our own Netzaya. Jesus is his name. He really is. He's Jesus, guys. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. Well, welcome to the show. What would you like to talk about?
I've got a couple of things. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I've been a little bit shaken up this past week or so with the earthquakes off of BC, and then the new faults discovered in Mount Hood.
Yeah.
And then the fact that something came out about the top, I don't know, 18 or something volcanoes that are at risk to go, and they're all around me.
They are, and truthfully, I've been drawn to the Pacific Northwest all my life, just like a magnet. But it just the earth changes and everything going on, knowing the potential there has always kept me away from it. But I've always wanted to go there so badly, you know, to Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. I've just felt so drawn to it. It's a beautiful area. It's just gorgeous, and at the same time, honestly, there's so much potential there for destruction, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place, and I really love it. And I've been trying not to let myself get pulled into a fear kind of state. But I have stocked up on some emergency supplies and things as I'm working to move somewhere else. At least I'll have that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is something unique to me, or I'm sure there's other people out there like me, but there's not many of us. I have an extreme light sensitivity, where basically when the sun's out, most of the year, in other places I would not be able to go outside. Here in Oregon, it's about maybe 4 months of the year I can't go outside during light. And then when it's the rainy season, it makes it easier because the clouds cut down on UV coming through by about 20%. So I moved to Oregon, and I've lived in Washington, also Seattle area, because of the cloudy weather. But right after I moved here in 2010, it started changing slowly, and now a little faster and a little faster. It's getting hot. And the sun is stronger. I think probably the sun is stronger everywhere. But I just was curious if anyone might have ideas for me, specifically moving out of the Pacific Northwest and needing to be currently in a northern part of the U.S., but knowing that we're going to be going into colder times. I guess a lot of it's in my mind, all these things I'm thinking about, but it's almost like I need to live in a cave. Literally, it would be, I would welcome that, and then come out at dark. It's kind of strange. It's from an autoimmune condition.
No, I mean, I understand it. And Mark Mucci, who's one of my moderators, and he has his own earthquake page on Facebook. He's very, very much into earthquakes, earth changes. You know, he knows what he's talking about, and he said leave as soon as possible. That's all I can say. That was his message. And so if we weren't going to have all the volcanoes going off, you know, and everything, if it was just a grand solar minimum, you might actually be pretty well off up that way because it's going to not get so cold there. So that's a plus. But anywhere close to the coast is a no-no. And then being so close to so many volcanoes is definitely an issue as well. In the U.S., honestly, I'm in the North Carolina mountains, and that's simply because it's the least of the evils. Basically, you could view it as. So there's three basic zones that most people will recognize as safe zones. The Four Corners area. So basically, the area specifically really more towards New Mexico and Colorado, although there's issues developing in there with all the fracking going on. And if Yellowstone goes, it's going to be buried in ash. The Ozarks, you got to watch out for the New Madrid, because the New Madrid zone could definitely go. And Edgar Cayce saw the Great Lakes draining directly into the Gulf of Mexico. So the Mississippi River becomes the Mississippi Sea. And so a lot of places like Missouri, for instance, half of Missouri could be underwater, half of it could be really, really nice. But it's basically, you got to take your chances on it. So there's three zones. I ended up in the Appalachians and specific in the Smokies. And my only question would be, is it high enough for what's going to come, which would be basically we're in the midst of a pole reversal, and we're going to have, in my opinion, we are going to have crustal displacement, which is going to cause massive tidal waves. So at some point, in my opinion, there's going to be massive tidal waves, and you're going to want to be at least several hundred miles inland and at least 1,000 feet high, if not much higher. And so, like right here, I'm sitting at about 3,000 feet or so, and I'm not sure if it's high enough. I'm really not sure, but there are mountains around me that are 5,500 feet high, need be, within just, half an hour. So it feels much safer than when I was in Florida, because honestly, when I was in Florida, it was starting to feel very, very uncomfortable. And for multiple reasons. For one, the lightning, the energy, and the chemtrails, and the red tide. I mean, there was so many things that were starting to feel crazy and intense about Florida. But the Appalachians are the oldest mountain range in the world, actually. And at one time, the Appalachians were high as the Himalayas. So it felt like it's a good spot for now, and I'll wait for further instructions as to whether I need to go out of here. But right now, this feels like the safest place to me in the USA. Maybe not. A lot of people are banking on the Four Corners area, Colorado, southern Colorado, northern Mexico. But when I saw how many wells were dug and how much fracking is going on there, and then you throw into the mix, if Yellowstone goes, that's going to be buried in ash. I think this is it for now, but I've also seen myself in a much different climate. So perhaps this is just for now, and perhaps it's totally out of North America in the future. For me, anyway. I'm going to listen to Spirit as Spirit guides me. So I have a 10-month contract with this property, and then after that, I'm open to new negotiations depending on where Spirit wants me to go, and I'll go wherever I feel the intuition is telling me to go.
That's great, yeah. I was curious about your, methodology, both in thinking and intuition, that had you move from Florida to the Appalachians. I've considered the Appalachians and also Vermont, New Hampshire, but then that might get really cold.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that upper Vermont, northern Vermont, upper northern New Hampshire are going to be safe. You're going to be safe if you could keep warm and if you could have a food supply. But I do think you will be safe there. I'm not sure about it though, as far as long term being able to survive there. And as you know, others have said too, you know, when you feel and know that you've lived through other lives, then it's not so much just surviving, it's more about what you're doing with the life. And so that's another thing in the mix. And I don't know. I have a friend, you might have seen her in the chat room at times, Mary from the Himalayas. I mean, she's always been after me to go to the Himalayas because she doesn't feel there's going to be many places safe. She, I think, feels that we're looking at a 2012 scenario, like the movie 2012, where basically the tidal waves are going to be so intense that almost anything that's under maybe 10,000 feet is in danger of being washed away. Either way, I mean, it doesn't matter because, like I shared with Natsaya, in my heart, I feel like we've done this all before, many times. You know, I've died before. It's okay. It's more about fulfilling the mission. It's about, you know, getting to wake up as many people as possible to try to get us out of the old cycles of destruction and being separated, because it's about, you know, creating unity, you know, for what's going to come. And it's not going to be me at 53 years old. It's more about the kids and the grandkids and setting them up for a world where we're not, you know, at each other's throats, where we're actually trying to help each other. We're actually trying to lift each other up and getting them used to that and getting them used to the ideas of, you know, we don't leave each other high and dry. We don't look out for just ourselves. We lift each other up and we try to take care of each other. It's just what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm trying my best not to get into the fear cycle in my brain and my body and my gut. Jesus was great. And part of that, I need to remember that what really is important is love and peace, and not the division and discord that's being pounded into us from the outside, if we listen at all right now. Exactly.
And that's why, you know, we're having these conversations, and I'm seeing some people talking, you know, in the chat room, and, you know, talking to Natsaya and talking to some others that call in. God, they make me feel so good. They make me feel so good. You know, it's like, it makes me so excited because these people are so full of love, you know, and there's so many out there. You know, Laurel Manchester is a beautiful person. Gordon's a beautiful, you know, I could go on and on. Hope Lewis, she's beautiful. There's so many wonderful people out there. Ruby has been awesome as well. Very supportive, very open. You know, this is a beautiful family, and we understand the bigger picture, and it's not just about any one of us surviving these changes. We have to think more in terms of the reality that we're trying to leave behind for everybody else that's going to keep going on, because we don't want people to be, you know, brought into a slave reality, a reality that's just based on the ego. It's based on all the lower emotions. It's fear-based, you know, and we don't want that, because we have to lift up and out of that. That's why we're here, you know. It's to pull people up and out of this reality that we've had, that unfortunately has been one of, basically, it's been dominated by the ego and not dominated by unity and love and compassion and peace. And we need to change it. We need to break the cycle.
We do need to change it. And you are creating a really beautiful family here. You've become my favorite YouTube channel. And I really appreciate everybody who contributes, even if they don't contribute their energy. It's very good, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing so much, and thank you for being part of this family, because we love you and we're glad that you're with us.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. So, a beautiful call there. And that's what it's about, guys. It's not about surviving. It's not about, this is mine, get away from it or anything like that. It's about what we do and the choices we make. And it's about supporting each other. And, thank you guys out there in the chat room. Thank you, Mark Mucci. I love you. You're my brother, too. Thank you for being a moderator, and thank you for sharing your wisdom. Evelyn, you're a dear sister. I love you dearly. You know that. And, all you guys out there. Deborah Hibbard, thank you so much. Yeah, yes, she was a sweetheart, and so are you. And thank you guys for sharing as well. There is no perfect place for us to go. There is no perfect place for us to go. It's more about where we are in our heart, and if we all do survive this, then beautiful. And if we don't, well, it really depends on how much do we change other people's lives in a positive direction. That's what it's really about. And I appreciate you, Brother Gordon. Love you dearly. Curtis, love you dearly as well. Thank you, Curtis, for the strength that you're showing. Thank you for doing what you're doing to change your life in a positive direction as well. And for being so open-minded all the time. You guys are beautiful. Love you guys so much. And love what we're building here. And I would love it if we could all find a spot together and, you know what, all become neighbors. Let's buy a patch of land together and let's build a perfect community wherever that is. And let's support each other in every way we can, and let's, tell the cabal, the Illuminati and all, just go screw yourselves, because we don't need you. We're going to just basically do our own thing over here, and we're going to live in peace and show you how it should be done. That would be the ideal. And yes, Gordon. Boom. Boom, baby. Boom. Same thing for Fifth World. Same thing for Shannon Ann. Shannon Ann, so proud of you. You are just a light unto so many already. And you have so much potential and so much to share with so many people. It's been a pleasure and a joy. And I've completely enjoyed sharing your experiences with others. And I don't think Ray Ray's around anymore, but I love him dearly as well. And you know what, guys? Let's find that. So Laurel says, lots of land here next to me. Well, share, and where are you? And maybe we could try to work something out together. And as Hope says, let's be positive and let's be love, because that's what it is, and that's what community is. And Ruby says he could build stuff. I do not doubt it. Let's find a spot. Let's find a place to make our mark, whatever that looks like. And let's pull others into us. And let's become the guiding light for the rest of the world. Grumpy Trolls, 70 acres in the Ozarks, paid in full. Who wants a spot? Well, brother, maybe we'll have to stop by and come and visit with you at some point and see. Someone else says, love to all, 5 acres in North Carolina mountain area. Co-housing is a dream of mine for many years. Well, someone else, you are my neighbor, because I am in the mountains in North Carolina. So reach out to me and let's have a visit. Deborah Hibbard, Wisconsin, here we come. We could look at all options as well. High mountains, cheap land in Puerto Rico. I've thought about Puerto Rico, Ruby, because I've been in Puerto Rico many times, and I love Puerto Rico. I love the Caribbean. Absolutely love the Caribbean. I love the warm weather. I'd rather be in a tropical setting than any setting by far because my body loves it. My body thrives in the warm weather. If you guys want to share, what states you guys are in, please do share. Where are you living? And, what's your age and whatever you guys want to share. Just share. Share, yeah, exactly. Share your email addresses, share your Facebook, whatever you want to share. Let's pull together. Let's totally pull together. Honestly, I'm totally open, and I'm going to listen to Spirit. So I'm in the Appalachians right now, and I think if I'm in the U.S., more than likely, I'm probably going to be in the Appalachians. But I might not be in the U.S. in a year. I don't know. Jeff Benko says, hi from South Australia. You might be my neighbor in a year's time. You never know. Australia has been popping up in my mind, actually. We have to look at all the options. We have to listen to our instincts, listen to our guts. We need to pull together because, guys, if we unify, we could help each other. We really, really could help each other. Roland says, you going to go to South Carolina? South Carolina is my home. There's no place that feels more home to me than South Carolina. So, yeah, I definitely plan on going to South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina is my favorite city that there is. I love it. It's in my hearts. So yeah, I'll definitely be back in South Carolina pretty soon. Planning on trying to get a Evolutionary Energy Arts family get together somewhere probably around Greenville, probably also around Asheville. Asheville is not far from me. Greenville is not far from me. I can also head over towards the Atlanta side as well if we want to have a get together over there as well. Honestly, the South feels like home to me. It's always felt like home, even though I was born and raised in Connecticut. I grew up 23 miles away from New York, and honestly, the South has always felt like home to me. But you know what? I've also had dreams where I've seen myself in a Latin American country in my latter years. When I was in my 60s and 70s, I've seen myself somewhere in a Latin American country. So I've always thought about Central America and South America, but open, totally open for whatever comes. And we'll be led by Spirit because I trust in Spirit, I trust in Source, I trust in God. Yes, Evelyn, I know Charleston is a big seismic zone. I don't forget about it. I know the earthquake that came in the late 1800s. What was it? Was it 1888? The ground actually liquefied. The reason why I love Charleston so much is because when I walk down the streets, I'm not walking alone. Even when there aren't people there are spirits there. And I could sense them, I could feel them, I could talk to them. And Charleston is so full of history. It's beautiful. I love history. I love the South. Lil Levin says, come to Wisconsin. I would love to visit with you, brother. You're a beautiful soul. And would look forward to that. And maybe there is a trip that way. I feel like at some point we need to go on the road. We need to go visit people. We need to go visit people. And we need to share. So Ruby was born and raised in New York City, family from Puerto Rico, spent every summer in Puerto Rico, was amazed at how fast things grow. They sure do. I always thought Costa Rica was good because they have volcanoes. Well, they do have volcanoes, they do have earthquakes. You know what? Costa Rica is blessed because it's a peaceful country. And even though it's basically an area that, is earthquake prone, volcano prone, it's all about consciousness. And there's a lot of peace there, and there's a lot of love there. And there are people being drawn there from all over the world that are truly light workers and peaceful people. Costa Rica has no military. It's a blessed country on this planet, and I think it's a guiding light for the future of the planet, honestly. Maya, you are from Mexico, and Maya, thank you for calling in so much. You are truly a sister. Much love, much appreciation. And I think I shared with you, Maya, that my grandfather is from Mexico. He's from La Piedad in Michoacan. So I'm 25% Mexican, even though the DNA tests don't show that. And it is in my blood, for sure. I feel it. And I would love to go to Mexico and live in Mexico, honestly. I just worried about the whole political situation and obviously the drug cartels. But there's no place I'd rather be than someplace tropical. Laurel's asking if I said no police. No, I don't remember saying no police. I said no place. But I love the sun. I love the heat. I love the tropical weather. My body likes it. My body just does better in it. My body absolutely loves warm weather. Hope Lewis says a quarter Cherokee and Celtic. Yes, my other side of my mom's side is Celtic. And my dad was basically half Mexican and 1/4 Indian, Native American, and I do think that is Cherokee as well. Yeah, Costa Rica, Deborah, has no military. No military. Isn't that a beautiful thing? And they also have universal health care for $50 a year. $50 a year gives you universal health care in Costa Rica, and their doctors are rated higher than U.S. doctors. Makes you say, what? It shows you what's up with our system as a whole. Teresa says she can't stand the heat and her body hates the sun. We're all different, most assuredly. But we need to come together. We definitely need to come together. You know, Mark says Costa Rica's too volcanic, seismic prone. Yes, I do agree, but at the same time, I also feel that consciousness has a lot to do with it as well. So Laurel says Cherokee too. Nice. Evelyn, Swedish, Irish, English, Sami, which is Lapland, Native American. And Evelyn, it was wonderful to meet you finally in person last week. It was a blessing. Shannon Ann says love will conquer all, and that is true. And Ruby, yes, highest literacy rate in all Latin American nations. Costa Rica it's the guiding light. Completely it is the guiding light for so much of what we really, really want. Peaceful. And much, much more. And you wanted to get a final word in, my brother?
I was listening, I was like, wow, you know what? Everybody's talking about, banding and all this stuff. Well, I talked to you about the home initiative. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I know what you're talking about. I've mentioned that so that I can spark some energy in you to help me channel this information. But what I'm getting at is I've been looking into this for many years, okay? So in case anybody hasn't done this, whoever is really excited right now hearing about what Michael and others were writing about, getting together, finding a piece of land, this and that, well, whoever it is, whether it's 5 of you, 12 of you, look it up tonight for just for 20 minutes. Look up for a piece of land in the area you just get a gut instinct to. And you'll see that you'll actually find very affordable pieces of land. I have found some that I'm about to, I'm telling you, I'm making moves. They're only asking, $15,000 for it, and it's literally a hilltop, for one, and it's big enough to have enough, at least a good 20 families. But what I'm getting at, 15,000. And the only reason why it's so cheap is because there is no electrical, water, all that stuff anywhere near. But it is, like 15 minutes away from the highway, this and that. But for people like us, we're not gonna need that stuff because we are going to do the permaculture, all these things that we won't need electricity the way society kind of needs it in a sense. But the point is look into those things. When you do, if it gets more excited, the next thing you need to look for is water sources. Hopefully there's a water source nearby. That's the next and most important thing. And even if you don't find some, sometimes you can look into the history of the area. Maybe you might find articles of maybe a Boy Scout unit that went out and were doing an experiment, and they found water. Just digging, because you can always dig for water. You might be able to find water where you least suspect it. Okay, so if you put all this stuff together, it is way more least inexpensive than we think. Especially when you think about doing earth bags and using the actual material on the land as it is already. All you need to do is buy it's a big roll that basically you fill up with sand, dirt, whatever it is, rocks, whatever, and then you cut the bag as big as the sandbags you need them. And what you do is the earth ships, you make them in circles, and you follow the Fibonacci sequence overall in a sense, and you don't need cement, you don't need all these things. You can use the land. There's so many things. And like I said, the Soul Reviver channel is going to show all this, and you're going to be a part of it, Michael, because we are one, I'm telling you. And then I just heard you say that you have Mexican blood in you. Are you kidding me? That's insane. I just recently found out I have a little bit of Italian blood in me, believe it or not. How does that mix down? That's probably why I talk with my hands a lot.
Yeah, my grandfather's name was Ruben Lazaro, and he was from La Piedad in Michoacan.
Oh, wow.
So my dad is half Mexican, and then he was 1/4 Native American from Oklahoma. But I'm suspecting Cherokee from my research. And then the other 1/4 was Scotch-Irish. And so it appears that basically a Scotch-Irish, I would guess somebody in the U.S. Army, back in the 1840s, 1850s, took a liking to my, great grandmother who was Native American, and that's what happened.
You might want to look into the St. Battalion. St. Patrick's Battalion, the Battalion of San Patricio. Okay, it was Irish immigrants that came. They fought with the U.S. Army, and they, alongside with them, and then they didn't like the way they were treating the indigenous. Okay, so what did they do? They said, forget you, and then they went to the other side and they fought with the indigenous. And that's why you see a lot of redheads in Mexico, like actual real Mexicans that talk better Spanish than I do.
Yeah, if you saw a picture of me when I was 4 or 5 years old, I had bright red curly hair and very, very pale skin.
I swear my brother had bright red. Like, oh my God, this is so freaking weird. Okay, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, keep going. Oh man, this is weird.
Yeah, it's crazy, the synchronicities, but my dad didn't even tell us that we were, of Mexican origin. And so everybody in the neighborhood always assumed we were Italian, and he never said otherwise. So I grew up thinking I was Italian, and then when my sister was getting married to an Italian guy, my father finally came out and said, well, no, actually, we're from Mexico. And so it was like, really? I was like 13 years old when I found that out.
Wow. Wow, that's all that goes to show you, man. That's what, the world's going to find out about America eventually. That, once the bad is gone, they're going to find out, wow, America's actually way better than what we thought it was. When the true heart comes out of America. When the the bad energetic leashes and bacteria is out of it,
Yep.
But, so please look into that. It's actually very cost and effective when you look into it. I mean, I haven't crunched the full numbers, but just think about this, where I'm at, where I found this hilltop, okay? I'll tell you. It's called diamond view. It's 360 views of everything. You get sunset, sunrise, everything. Okay, it's just there's no water, there's no electricity, but there's big enough land and everything so you can have your crops, everything. And the way I'm gonna build it is I'm gonna build into the hill itself. Okay, so I mean it's if you really look into what it would take to build homes and this and that, and then you try to price it together on your own, you will find that it is very inexpensive. Yes, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of practice and this and that, but if you know the right people, like you're talking right now, and then, you know, we get together with other people, it's just like bartering. When our powers combine, okay, we become one powerful source of enlightenment, truly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a totally beautiful thing. So, you're in Southern California. I don't feel comfortable with you being in there. Honestly, I worry about you. I worry about you.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry. It's just that delay. I keep cutting you off. I hear a little bit of silence. I start to talk, and then you're still talking. I gotta be quiet. Oh, my phone's about to die. But anyways, yeah. So what happened? I was actually led here by spirit since when I was in Iraq. As odd as that may sound, I was getting these coordinates, believe it or not, in my dreams, stuff like that. When I was out fighting insurgents and stuff like that, all of a sudden I will see these numbers. I'm like, what the hell? And one of the numbers, okay, reflects my name, meaning the metaphor of what my name is considered to be 33. Parallel 33, okay? And then the other one, I'm not going to say it. It's not about fear or anything like that, but it's part of my unit. Out of all things, it was my unit that was, what do you call it? Deactivated once we got back from Iraq. Why? I'm not sure. I have my speculations, but it's actually But anyways, the point is when I came to finally settle down back to California, because I was all over the place, meaning I was stationed in Alaska, I didn't know I ended up in those numbers until I saw it where I'm at now were those numbers, because I was only going by instinct like I always do, by intuition. And then when I finally decided to look it up, I was like, what the hell? I lived exactly I used to live exactly 40 miles, no, well, actually a lot more, about almost 60. But the point is I am in the area where Edgar Casey, everybody has shown that basically where the California islands are going to be. And when it comes to that point, guys, it's not going to be anytime soon when it comes to the inundation of that part. But California will not be cut off. What will happen is that valley in the center that makes up Bakersfield and all these things, that's going to get inundated. It used to be underwater. If you guys don't know, well, you guys probably won't know if you don't live here, that area is technically sinking. Little by little. It's actually under sea level. And that's another thing, as weird as it may sound, I'm actually putting a video together to show you guys how can it be possible for an area like that that's above sea levels, or other areas, not this particular area, can it eventually be inundated. I have all this video proof, all these videos that professionals have made that have studied, paleo, I don't know what the word is, but anyhow, the point is there's certain areas that, like you keep mentioning, we're gonna feel that it's just the right place to be. And all of us, some people say that there's no safe place. Yeah, there technically there is no safe place. What's gonna happen is you're gonna be guided at the last minute, ahead of time. It all depends on what you chose before you came into this reality. I know it sounds crazy, but eventually some of you are gonna be like, that's what Jesus meant. Aha! But anyhow, so yeah, and we cannot go by what we're being told that changes might be, in the sense that, because like we keep mentioning, Utah is so high that there's no way that can get inundated. Well, it can get temporarily inundated for several weeks, several months, and whatever lives there can possibly perish because of all that water being there for so long. How do you think Venice came about, people? They adapted, and they just built around it. They didn't want to leave that area.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing, brother. And I've felt such a call to get out there and to get around with as many people as possible. So I have to make a trip to the east and to the northeast to visit with my mom, who's going to be 90, and we have to see her, and then we have to stop by Chicago. But then after that, I definitely want to come west. There's so many people out west that's family, and that I really want to visit with. And unfortunately, I'm not coming out with an RV like I originally intended. So I do want to make a trip out west and visit with people and start to consolidate this family in so many ways and start to come together and meet people face to face. And of course, I would love to meet with you and see you face to face and to just sit down and chill and talk in person.
Well, yeah, that's an easy manifestation for me. So what we're gonna do is with this channel that I'm gonna be opening up, we're gonna be doing like fundraising, and all you need to do is freaking rent a freaking RV, and there you go. You got what you wanted, and the money that's gonna come is gonna come through from people that believe in your cause and your thing, what you're doing. People are like, yeah, I want that. I want to see a video of that happening. Here's $20. Here's $20. Are you kidding me? All those people that watch you, people are going to be a part of it. Yeah, here's $300, so when you come to me, you can take me with you. Stuff like that. I'm telling you. If we think about it, we can organize something so easily with just letting our inner child have fun and explore while we're multitasking our so-called priorities.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, Zeke will definitely be coming because I can't leave Zeke behind. He's so much family. He's been the only one by my side forever, for years. So Zeke is my family. Honestly, it's been me and him for a long time, and there's another person that's family now too. And as she looks at me and with this cute little look on her face, like, yo, me too. Yeah, of course you too.
So real quick, just to let you guys give you a little bit of perspective, why I say that you shouldn't follow anything that is you're being told, no matter how professional the person may be. Here's the reason why. The only person I technically trust with their word, with their vision, was Edgar Casey. For the simple fact that there's over 14,000 written, transcripts of his work with the people and how he literally, I don't know why I keep using that freaking word. Literally, he really did help many people, just by tapping into their higher self for one. And so I really do trust what he says. So with that in mind, no one can possibly know how much the earth is going to tilt and to where and all this. No one knows, not even the ancient Mayas, nobody. They just know it's going to happen. Okay, the reason being is because of the photon belt is the best way we know it as, but it technically is not a photon belt, but that's what we know it as. That donuts, I don't know if some of you have been craving donuts or thinking of donuts or seeing circles everywhere, donuts, for some reason, and it's because of that. We're being told by higher consciousness to prepare for that donut that we're in. Okay, and this is when weird things are going to start happening before our eyes. And those that are not ready are the ones that are going to think that good things are things of the devil. And we need to get rid of those things. And that's how I'm saying, like, we're going to start fighting each other a lot. People, and the ones that are going to be fighting are the people you least expect. Trust me. It's weird. And honestly, we don't have to worry about any freaking armies of any countries. Trust me, they know enough to look enough into their old records, especially China of all, and they know that these things are going to happen. So why would they waste their money on trying to conquer something else in this time where it's not even going to benefit them? People, this is real. I mean, this is not cliche in the sense of the changes that everybody's talking about. Just take the average of all that and make a metaphor. And that's all we need to do, and you will see that, if all this has been written, why do I keep listening to what I'm being told nowadays? But when it's been written, even the Chinese have up to, at least 5,000 years of actual detailed records. There's many more. and this is the internet is going to be the Library of Alexandria. What happened to the Library of Alexandria? Why did that happen? You guys don't even know, but the main reason why that happened, the Library of, I think that's what it's called, the Library of Alexandria, they burned it down because a conquering a country came and they tried to set a rent. There's many of you that are from different parts of the world or whatever. Rent is rent, people. Renta. What does that mean? I mean, the Italians are masters of it. All the cartels, Mexicans, everywhere. All the bad people, they're masters of implementing rent, which means, hey, we protect you. You give us this amount of money. No, you're dead. Yes, okay, here you go. But they're getting paid to not do anything, just to have those people in fear. But in all, that's what's happened. So that's what happened with the Alexandria, and they didn't want to pay because where Alexandria was at the library, there were peaceful people that did not want to war. They were just trying to keep records, okay, to help the rest of society with what would help them to flourish, to stimulate in every sense possible, physical, mental, every which way possible. And they didn't. They're like, well, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know what money is. We don't. Why do you want us to pay for us to keep this information that is harmless? And the other guys didn't like it. I forgot what country it is. I'll find it for you guys in the Soul Reviver. I'll give you all that information. But it's there. It is there, okay? And it did happen. And that Library of Alexandria was burnt down because of money. And that's not gonna. Eventually, we're gonna start to find out how transition over to where we don't need money because we can barter and this and that and help each other out. If, that's why I say the doctor is equal to the farmer. Because the doctor is doing a surgery on the human body, the human body, meaning the farmer, is doing surgery on Mother Gaia. He's actually going into the third, inserting things to flourish, so that we can, sometimes we don't even have to do anything, but I'm saying, the doctor and the farmer is one alike. The doctor cannot sustain the mind that they need to be able to do the miracles that they do without the farmer.
That's a beautiful thought, and that's true. And so, we're going to see that the new world coming is going to be totally different than the old world, and it's a welcome change. It really, really is. It's totally welcome.
Yes, it's going to be scary for all. It will be scary for all at first. But once you let go of the old world, the 3D mentality, and you just say, F it, I'm just going to surrender and go with the flow and see where it goes, you're going to start learning. You're going to start tapping into your real instinct, the real ego, the etheric gut organism that tells you, hey, something's wrong here. That's the proper way to use the ego, the lower ego. Now we're going into the higher ego. That's why a lot of us are becoming a lot more like artistic, poetic. Like, I don't know, they're watching their words. They're not saying certain words anymore. Like, I'm not trying to say literally that often, or some of you like to say like. It's like, and they're like, man, why do I say that? And that's part of it. I swear, there's all these little subtleties. All these little subtleties that seem awful that are actually for the good.
Most definitely. And so, all this is making me feel like it's time for a road trip.
Yeah. And use your creativity, man. I'll be like, okay, real quick, creativity, using everything to just connect, to go with the flow. If you guys are getting, what do you call it? Coupons, okay? You get all these coupons in the mail, don't you? Most of you. And most of you don't even use them, right? Well, if you save those, okay? On my Soul Reviver video, I'm going to show you how you can use those, especially if you have a fireplace, and especially if, from this point on, winters will be a lot more cold for at least a decade, okay? We're going to need a lot more fire, okay? You're going to be, those logs, those fake logs that you buy at the store, and you just turn them on and they stay on for about 5 hours, okay? I'm going to show you guys how you can use those. So why not use what the system gives you, And most of us throw it away. Why not? Instead of making that trash go into possible pollution, keep it, and then all you need to do is just, hopefully I can do say it real quick, is wet the stuff up. Eventually it becomes mush. You put it together in an area, you strain it out, and eventually it hardens. Eventually I'm going to make a video, obviously, to show you guys how to do all this and how to add essential oils, certain chemicals that are not harmful, and coconut oil that's going to make it light even better, smell better as you're enjoying your warmth. Those are the type of creativities we need to start using both the child's mind and the indigenous mind, and creating one super mind.
Beautiful.
Of the next age, not the new age, the next age. The new age has bad connotations to it. Just like someone was mentioning that the tool is satanic. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! If you understood the actual sacred geometry and all that, you would see like, oh, man, they're not really satanic. That's why I said it. So I can't believe I didn't listen to the words that they were saying. I stopped listening to them because I was like, I thought the same thing. I was like, this looks a little too dark now. It's like, I don't know. And then the way they sound, a little bit hardcore sometimes, but that's why I used to like working out with it. But then it's literally like, there I go again saying literally. I just heard the tool, like, started jamming to it again about a year ago, and I was like, what? How did I miss these lyrics before? And that goes to show you that my subconscious recorded what, if you really listen to the tool, lyrics, people, you're going to be like, wait a minute. Or if Michael, do this. Get the lyrics. I don't think you'll get a strike for that. Just the lyrics, and write them down and put them on there, and then just stop that, and then maybe make a live feed later on and say, hey, what do you guys think of that video? What do you think? Where country do you think that mine came from? And this and that, and then, well, what if I were to tell you that it was this? And then you saw the picture of Tool and their cover, and they'll be like, wait, what? What do you? How is it possible for Tool to say that? And they have a cover like that? No, that doesn't make sense. You know, it's just like also, what's his name? Black Sabbath. Oh my God! I just started listening to their lyrics, and man, they were awakening people back then. But yes, they look satanic. They look weird. I'm not saying I like that. I haven't looked into them, but I just heard the song incidentally, and I was like, wow, I never knew that light, those lyrics that are light, they're literal light, came out of Black Sabbath. I'm like, wow, that's insane. And I started listening to another. I was like, wow, Ozzy Osbourne was freaking awakened. Look at, there was somebody that said, oh, they're satanic. They had to sell their soul to the devil because how do you think they reached that? Well, they were masters, people. They were masters. They had to hide, just like Charlie Chaplin had to hide and keep teaching people emotions without even saying a single word. Are you kidding me? So he had to do, because I started watching him too, and I was like, man, he's kind of teaching people to be stupid in a weird way. Charlie Chaplin, this just happened recently. I'm like, oh no, but he had to act this way to stay in the limelight. Or else they wouldn't allow him to keep programming people to be stupid and fight each other. Because I don't know if you look at Charlie Chaplin, he was always kind of negative in a weird way. But if you think about it, he was negative because he was coming from a character that came from extreme poverty, and that was actually his real life. So he walked weird, not because he had the big shoes. He walked weird because he had no soles, and his feet had blisters, and they hurt. So he had to wobble. You guys never thought about it in that way, did you? This is what I mean about you youngsters. It's not an insult. It's just a different perspective that you guys are only seeing the face value of things. And as I'm saying this, I'm literally facing a Hindu image of Krishna in front of me. It's pretty weird. With a spiral in its forehead, the third eye. Oh no, that's satanic. Be careful, guys.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Honestly, I wanted to share in like a couple of the last videos just what I've found and just what I've discovered, you know, through my journey and all. And, you know, one of the things I discovered is like in Florida, I met a group of Hindu Jews. They were people that were born Jewish, but they basically are Hindu. If you had to figure out what philosophy do you follow, what religion do you follow, but yet they believe in Christ and profess in Christ totally. So they're Hindus, they're Jewish, they're Christian, but you know what? They're just freaking full of love. And they're beautiful people, and I adored these people, and I never felt more at home or more comfortable with people that were this combination of being born Jewish and were adhering to kind of a Hindu philosophy, because we did kirtan together. And kirtan is all singing the ancient Vedic chants, but also singing Christian hymns and also singing some Jewish prayers, at the same time. And we would mix in things of all other religions and creeds. It doesn't matter. It's about the freaking intent. Where is your heart at? Is it based in greed? Is it based in self-serving, energies? Or is it based in love and compassion and service to others? That's a difference. That's what it's really all about. And so this group, they were just beautiful. And I loved it, and I never felt more at home besides, being now with you guys.
Well, and you said a few key words, and yes, like right now, it's happening. Look at the image you have of right now. You chose the perfect clip. What is he doing? What does he look like? What is he wearing? He's depicting the real. I know some of you your heads are gonna explode right now when I say this. The real Nazis. What I mean by this is, he's not wearing the swastika, is he? No. But if you guys don't know, and then here's what I was saying that you guys don't realize. Some of you don't realize what's happening right now. Right now, the heart. You just said the heart was in the intent. Well, right now, what's happening? All our hearts are becoming one, and you and I, Michael, are channeling Legos for us to build on. What I mean by this is, look up, maybe you might be able to find it quickly, Michael, the Hindu image that has the swastika on the third eye of, I forgot the person, but that's where Hitler got, that.
Right.
He just flipped it. That's all he did.
Yeah, he twisted it the other way around.
Yes. And energy goes from left to right, counterclockwise.
Right.
What does it make the time clockwise? Okay? So, but I'm also, this is a tough one, but, yeah. Maybe another time.
So, like, clockwise represents evolution. Anti-clockwise represents involution. And,
Yes.
So, yeah.
Centripetal, centrifugal.
So, originally a symbol of the Hindu god Vishnu, the swastika is now mostly associated with Hitler and the Nazis. And Vishnu is the preserver. Vishnu is the preserver. Vishnu, one of his incarnations was Krishna. And Krishna is Christ, which will freak people out, and they won't want to hear that, but that's the truth. Krishna and Christ go together. It's, people have to just look deeper. And unfortunately, as so often happens, things get perverted, and things get twisted, and that's what's happened.
Yes. Yeah, so the black spear that I was talking about you guys a few weeks ago, that's what's going to unveil, reveal, expose the opposite of what we're talking about. Meaning, the good is going to be irrefutably depicted or shown that it's actually not what it was projecting to be. Meaning the church. I'm not saying religion. I'm not saying the Bible. I'm not saying God. I'm saying the church. And that doesn't mean everybody that goes to church. That doesn't mean every priest. I'm just saying the church. Meaning, right now, America can be considered the church. not everybody that goes to America, not everybody that goes to church is bad. Meaning, I'm not saying that everybody that do that is bad. No. In fact, I believe we need temples, religion, God, the belief of God, all that beautiful stuff. What I'm getting at is some of you still might not be able to accept it because of how deep the programming has gone through genetic, induction, through a centrifugal force. Okay? What's going to happen is centripetal. It's going to go the opposite. It's going to unveil. It's going to unwind. And all hell is going to break loose for them, but all heaven is going to break loose for us. But we still have to go through the middle part, which is the cleansing. And we were talking about right now, Vishnu and Krishna, what is it? Shiva, I believe that's blue, right? He's blue face. So water. Water is magnetism. Water, and he also had one of the most feminine looking faces because it was so childlike overall.
Well, yeah.
So that goes to connect. Women is dark, is blue, is magnetism. Not women, but feminine. Masculine is light, fire, electricity. And that does not mean that black, dark, doesn't mean that feminine is a bad thing. No, it's just dark. It's just the opposite of light. Just like cold is the opposite of hot. And I mean that's what I think. It's not a freaking body in the heavens. The Kashinas. I believe the blue and the red is the energies. Energies metaphor overall. Blue is female, masculine, magnetism, water. First we're going to be purified by fire, then by water. Or was it vice versa? But the point is there. Volcanoes, they're going to be erupting a lot more people. That's part of the fire. That's Mother Earth purging out. And it's the restart. Just like look at Bambi, for crying out loud. Look at the freaking cartoon Bambi and you'll get a lot of information there. The forest fire, that actually, those things actually do happen in real life naturally. Sometimes the forests catch on fire on purpose, on their own, so they can restructure. I know it sounds crazy, but look it up and you will see like, oh, wow. Something, okay, here's something. In Yellowstone Park, they took out wolves. Back in the 80s, somewhere around there, or 70s, okay? And all of a sudden, Yellowstone Park started to die. Everything, the life, meaning the animals, the plant life, everything. And all of a sudden, I forgot what type of scientist said, hey, we need to introduce wolves back in. And when they finally understood, like, all right, let's just do it, we have nothing to lose. When they did, all of a sudden, a lot of life, a lot of green, more water, the rivers replenished. There was more butterflies, more everything. How is that possible when we look at wolves as being predatory, dark, evil beings? But yet, what happened was the deer started to overpopulate and they overgrazed. And what happened with that, it affected the atmosphere. And then things started to dry up. I have many videos of this, people, how it's been done purposefully in Africa many years ago because they knew it. It's almost, I wanted to say common sense, but it's not. It's not common sense, not at this point. But yes, I mean, how is that possible? You see, what I'm trying to get out to you guys right now, just like Michael has been, is we need to see beyond face value and think, perceive outside of the box of what we call our head. Because there's more to our being than just our head and our brain. And most of us think that our ego is in our head, our ego is in our stomach. So stomach is instinct. Head, when it's clear and is aligned, is intuition, which is feminine. And that's the true survival, not instinct. It's intuition. That's why the feminine is coming back. Oh, it's been here. And the dark forces are like, oh no, please don't. And they're trying to cause all these weird things. But you guys just gotta just worry about your internal. and the external will play out the way you designed it, the way you designed it in your universe. YOUNIVERSE, you, universe. Everything's an illusion, so why not make it a good illusion, right?
Exactly, brother. And thank you for sharing all that. So it's
Most
been
definitely.
it's been awesome and wonderful, and thank everybody for taking part in this one. This was a great live one. I think there'll be a lot more people that end up watching this, after the fact. Pretty damn awesome. Some great stuff. Great sharing here. And, want to thank you again, brother. I love you dearly, and you are a huge blessing to me.
Thank you. Likewise, and same with the evolutionary energy arts family. Please don't forget to breathe. I know that sounds condescending, but no, literally. Breathe in through your nose, hold it for a few seconds, and then release it to your stomach so you feel that nice little butterflies and warm feeling in your stomach from doing that crunch. Good night, y'all. Rest well.
Good night, brother. Thanks for sharing so much. Namaste as always, and I look forward to actually meeting you in person.
Oh, yeah. Same here, likewise. And like I said, we'll organize for a lot of us to meet. Sadly, it's going to have, for you guys, it's going to have to be in California, because I have already a nice little retreat over here that I've been constructing to heal traumas. But anyways, yes, Michael, thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Much love, much light. Peace.
Namaste, brother. And thank you guys so much for joining me as well. And I do think we need to do a road trip. I think we need to get together. I think we need to pull together. I think we need to go to that next step, and hopefully we could pull together. And you know what? Maybe we could all be neighbors at some point. That would be a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we just have to find that spot that's perfect, that we all pull together to, and create that perfect society together. So you guys, I love you guys. Thank you for sharing so much. Let's always stay in communication with each other, and let's always keep connected. Again, our numbers are out there. My number is 614-400-5835. Keep my number. Stay in contact. And let's become a stronger family together. And all you guys that are not taking part in this live but are watching this afterwards, you're welcome to as well. Because I know probably 5 to 10 times as many people will end up watching this later than took part in this. So guys, let's all stick together. Let's grow stronger together. Love you guys. As Evelyn says, stay well, live abundantly. Love, 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 says Deborah. Brian, take care. Laura, free will. Namaste, my friends. God bless always. Stay safe out there. You are loved.